Okay, so we are gonna get started. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming to the first Medicare and Margaritas. So if you did not hear my song and dance when we first started, you got a drink ticket, and the drink ticket is good for a mimosa, Bloody Mary, whatever it is that you want. After that drink ticket, then it is cash bar. There is no shots this morning. Fair warning, no shots, yes. For those of you, how many of you have never been to a conference of mine? Holy shit. Okay. So for all my new kids, welcome. My name is Amanda Brewton. I am the owner of Medicare Answers Now. This is my second set of conferences that I do. The first one being Ms. Medicare, which is in Cleveland, Ohio. So this is going to be a little different than anything that you guys have ever been to. How many of you guys are sick and tired of coming and spending money to go to something and all you're doing is walking away with motivational crap, right? So what if I told you there's no PowerPoints except for one in the entire conference? Okay. Now here's the trade-off on that. That means that you guys got to help and talk and ask your questions. We want your interaction with this. Don't be afraid. The other piece of this is this. There is no recruiting and there is no sales crap in my conferences at all. This is a hard rule. If I find out that you have been recruiting in my events, you are banned completely. So please relax. Know that it's safe to ask your questions to those around you. Again, they will not bite unless you ask them to. Other things, so that way you have it. Bathrooms are in the back corner. The venue that I chose is designed to give you a hard time because it kind of matches my personality. Shocker. So that's a little bit about the nature of this. So we built this so that registration and we're going to start every morning at 8 o'clock. Then we will be done by noon every day. You've got a break. You can go ahead and go off on your own. I know some of you have family down here. Others are meeting with friends. If you want to go ahead and knock around on your own, great. If not, today at 4 o'clock we will be at Lulu's, which is Jimmy Buffett's sister's place. There's live music and the whole 9 yards, so it'll be an opportunity for us all to talk and say hi. And if it's not your thing, then no big deal. Tomorrow, same drill, and then we will be at the Floribama. And then on Thursday, we are going to close the conference with a beach party. And by then, I promise you, it's supposed to be 77. Thank God. So, first thing that I do want to go ahead and say is there is a blonde woman that you all went through registration with. Her name is Cindy. She is the one that made this come to life. So did Lori Bellman, Kevin, and Trudy. So thank you all. The other thing that I do want to say is please visit the vendors. Guys, just on principle, I am a big advocate of giving you free content, and I get slammed all the time because people go, well, if it's free, it's clearly shit content, and there's no way that it's going to be valuable to you. I'm going to say bullshit. What I do is I have a proven track record of the education that I provide. The speakers that I have coming up here, they didn't pay to get on this stage. They are here because they have the business acumen that I find valuable and that the insurance community finds valuable. So I'm bringing it to you to learn from them. This time is yours. Ask your questions. Please do not be afraid. I don't like doing formal conversations, or formal presentations, which is why there is no PowerPoint. So as we're going through the material, if you have questions, raise your hand. We will repeat the questions and then answer it so that way everybody is hearing. Please use your outside voice because we've got fans up here in case you have, I'm getting wind effect, you know. See? So ask your questions with your outside voice so that way everybody can hear. I have a proven track record of doing these events and showing the correlation to those that attend my events and selling more. I have built my reputation and my name on that fact. When I went out on my own and a little bit about me, I've been in the industry for 15 years. I started with Aetna and built their broker distribution when they were entering the market in Ohio. Then I stayed there. Then I went to AARP under 65 back in the day, pre-ACA, and I managed the broker distribution for 18 states. From there, I ended up going to, because ACA, well, there's no job there, right? So I ended up going to Anthem, and at one point I was the only Anthem rep in the entire state working with that, and that's how I started creating content and education for you guys. My story is this. When I had the brainchild, $5,000 is what they were going to give me for 2,000 agents, $5,000 for the entire back-end period. And what they did is they said, you can do both. You can take that $5,000 and partner with the various agents over 6 months, which is pennies, right? Or you can gamble and you can do educational events, but you know what? You're going to fail. You are going to fail with what you're doing because you want to know what? The only people that are going to come to these events are old people and people that want the donuts. Okay? Did you see any damn donuts here? There is never donuts at my events, and there's a reason for that. So then it became, well, you can't quantitatively show what happens between them attending this event and the sales activity. And I said, bet me buckwheat, watch this. So I pulled all the registration lists and I started monitoring those people that attended the class's sales. We did 153% to goal in the state of Ohio that year. My regional vice president, the national sales president at the time, went, what the hell is she doing there? How is that happening? And you know what? We may need to go ahead and extend that throughout the country to make that happen. So we did. And then all of a sudden you started seeing that growth happen, which is great, right? I got out on my own 4 years ago in 2 weeks. Started my own agency. I now have a downline or business partners of over 350 in 39 states. So the first session that we have today, Chris Westfall is going to join the stage in a second with me, and we are going to talk about goal setting. And we're going to talk about business strategy for the first session. In your bags, you all have, and because you can tell who's been at one of my events and who hasn't. Guys, there's a reason why you have notebooks in your goodie bags. And if you have not seen those, they are ass, including the squirt guns. And any of you guys squirt me, I am going to be pissed because I have on yellow and it's see-through. Anyways. No, we're not doing it, Mike. I will beat you. Anyways, so open up your swag bags. Pull out your notebooks. There are a couple of things that I want you to see with these notebooks. It is a signature thing of mine. And I just heard a couple of people of you go, oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So if you look at your notebooks and you open up the inside cover, you will see a Medicare cheat sheet with all your numbers in it. You have this notebook to, guess what? Write notes while we're talking today, guys. Yes, you can put yours away. Put all of it in there. So one of the other speakers here today is Mike McCormick. And Mike runs Insurance Soup, which is a Facebook group that is ridiculously large. And he has his own conference, which is Soup Live. It was out in Dallas last year, and it was in its first year. So I went to check it out. And one of the things that I got out of that particular session was that if you don't have actionables within the first 72 hours, it ain't gonna happen. So I am asking you brought and put a to-do list on that. I want your to-do list of the actionables that you have going home on your personal notebook, and I want the notes that you got out of my class or my conference to be on the other one. You can cross-reference them. And that's how we're going to go ahead and roll today. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I think I got everybody through the line, which is awesome. Can everybody hear me all right? We're good? Okay. So I'm going to bring Christopher Westfall up to the stage. Any of you guys know who Chris is? Chris is mad smart. Mad smart. He is MedicareAgentTraining.com is his. Senior Savings Network is his. And he has over 6 million YouTube followers. Think he knows a little bit about social media? Just a thing or two. He's also wicked smart when it comes to what's going on in the Medicare world. So I am so grateful that he agreed to go ahead and come and speak and share his knowledge with all of us. So please give him a warm welcome. So today we are going to start talking about goal setting. How many of you guys have issues with work-life balance? How many of you, your loved ones, are going ahead and saying that you work too much, take it easy, but you're trying to get somewhere, you're trying to get to a goal? How many of you guys are watching or you're talking to other agents, and I had one, just so that you know, as we talk, I'm going to refer to various agents. Does not mean that I'm calling you out, does not mean that you did anything wrong. It's that I am sharing experiences. There are other people in this room that feel exactly the way that you do. So get some thicker skin if it pisses you off, but it's not about you. This is about getting everybody better, okay? And the reason why I say that is yesterday I had a couple of agents that went ahead and came and said, you know what, I don't think, there's no way that I sell as much as most of the people that you have in this room today. And here's the thing. It's your business. Do you own your business? Do you treat it as though you are actually, like it's yours? This is your baby, it's your child, right? So Craig Vilwalk, who is here, he's one of the owners of the insurance group. And Chris is here, also his brother, who is his partner. They said, you know what? You got to work really, really hard your first 3 years. Dive in deep. Put everything aside and give it your all those first 3 years. And then you'll thank me later after that. I'm coming up on my 3, and I have to tell both of those gentlemen, thank you. Because I wouldn't have been able to hit and knock out of the park the goals that I've made because of the advice that they've given. My first thing to you is find your mentors. Find the people that you can talk to, that you can share ideas with, and it's not a contest. There is enough sand in the sandbox for us all to play with the toys, even your squirt guns, okay? So, walking in January, I posted and said, what are your rocks? What are the big things that you have in your personal life that you want to do, okay? Mine is I have a couple of trips that I work for. I know what motivates me. Do you know what motivates you? Is it that trip? Is it the Ferrari? Is it the big house? Is it the Rolex? Is it that you want to pay for your college education? Or you got a kid that's going to be married and you want to give them a down payment as a gift for their house? What is it that you're trying to go for? Is it that you work really hard during AEP, your spouse idea of who you are because you forgot their name? Jenny, where are you? So one of my close friends, she has this thing where at the end of AEP, she goes on a vacation with her husband, and the title of this is awesome, and that's why I'm sharing it. It's the Sorry I Forgot Your Name During AEP Vacation. Is that not the coolest thing ever? So she purposely does it where there's no phones. There's nothing but her and her significant other or her husband. Do you have something like that where you're spending time, undivided time, connecting to whoever it is that you're with? I tell you where mine is. Mine is the middle of May. We are going to England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales and doing a 10-day cruise, and I'm totally excited about it. Do not call me during that time. I will not answer. But here's how I do it, because some of you are looking at me going, there's no way I can afford that. I'm barely making ends meet. Norwegian has it where cruises and put $200 down 2 years out, and then make that a sales goal so that way you know what money it is that you need to make that happen. When you're working on a calendar and you are trying to plan things, I'm already planning 2024 and it's about halfway full, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying so that I am teaching you the best practices that I know work. And I've been doing this for years, and I'm going to toss this over to Chris in a second so that he can share what he does and what the effects of this are. But what I do is I fill in the very first thing that goes on my calendar in a year, and I normally start it this time of year for the next year. My vacations, family vacations, are the first damn thing that is on my calendar, and it is non-negotiable. Write it down. You need a break. If it's a 4-day weekend, you need a break. Have you had a break today? You need a break. Get it on your calendar, and it's non-negotiable. You can't cancel that. It's not I'm sorry, honey, I gotta go, and this is more important. No, your spouse is the most important thing, right? That's what we work for. Get it on the calendar. The next thing that you want on your calendar is what kind of self-care are you doing? You have to do it. And I can tell you right now, I know at least half of the room that I personally know, you guys have to constantly work at it. Some of you are really bad at it. I was. That's how I ended up sick enough where it took me 3 years to get to where I can level my system out and function. You don't want to end up like that. So, once a week. That's all I want. Once a week, couple hours. 2, max. Because some of you are going, I don't know, Amanda, I don't think I can do that. 2 hours, once a week. If you can't do that, do 2 hours once a month. Mine, mani-pedis. Girls, get it in. Get your nails did, get your toes did, put on some pretty polish. Sit there in that chair and play on your phone, watch your TikToks. Who's the TikTok addict? I am, certifiably. These are things that you want to do for you. It puts your baseline there. Once you have these big pieces in there, then we're going to roll into your work. But first and foremost, you can't do anything for your business, for your family, for your clients, unless you are taking care of you. How many of you been to Orange Beach before, Pensacola, Gulf Shores area? The ones that this is your first time, what do you think? Nice? I've been coming here since I was 10. So back in the dark ages, half of the stuff wasn't even built. This is my sanity. Mike posted that he went ahead and he did a walk that I have taken twice a year, every year since I was a little girl. And it's a walk from Perdido Sun to Johnson's Beach, which is a 2.5-mile walk down and a 2.5-mile walk. And you wake up at early morning so that way you can grab the sand dollars, and you just think, and you prioritize, and you clear your head. We need that with all the chaos and everything that you have going on. Clarity and the stopping of that allows you to be better at what you do. It's scary as hell initially when you do it, because I have all these things I have to do. I have all these things that I want to do. Stop, reset, and then go forward. Run faster. If you do it that way, then trying to push when you're tired, you're more effective. So, what's your thoughts on that? Because you've been doing this way longer than I have on the external side. You gotta hit it. Throw it. There we go. Hold on. Did we kill it? Sorry, guys.
Thanks, Nate. Nate, everybody. He's fixing everything. It's awesome. When I started, I'd left law enforcement, and I was intrigued by the money that could be made from doing final expense insurance. And one thing about goal setting, don't do it the way that I did it. And I'll tell you, it was by the seat of my pants. Had 2 kids to feed, and then 3, and then 4. But with life insurance, I found that it came to me easy because it was so simple. And my goal at the time, because I was a cop, not making much, was if I could make $1,000 a day that I go out, this would be incredible. $1,000 a day. So the problem with setting goals too low is that when you hit that goal, like I did, I turned around and drove home. I'd make 2 sales, or I'd make 3 or 4, whatever it took back then. This is 1995. In order to make $1,000 a day, and then I'd go home. So I quickly realized that I don't need to do law enforcement anymore. They wanted to promote me to a lieutenant where I'd make less money just being on salary at the sheriff's office in Daytona Beach, Volusia County. And when I left law enforcement, I started making more money than I'd ever made before, but then I heard about residual income. I heard my grandmother's story of how she was treated by an HMO, and I realized that this is another avenue that I could pick up, doing Medicare. But I lived in Florida, and everything was going HMO at the time, and I was adamantly against them because I had some hard-fought beliefs from her experience. So I started doing Medicare supplements, and I realized you can't do that in Florida very well at the time. They're still expensive today. So I started doing it in Michigan over the phone and found a lot of success with that. However, people were real skittish back then. We didn't have electronic applications back then. So I created a way that you could take a PDF of a Mutual of Omaha application and turn over the screen to them during a screen share, and they could take control of the pen and they could sign the application. And they said, well, that's legal because it's an owner-applied mark, so yeah, that's their signature. So that's how I did the first year of electronic applications. The point is, I had no idea what goals would be there for the Medicare business. I started doing it 1 day a week and then 2 days a week and backing off the life insurance when I realized this residual income thing is crazy. So fast forward, I hired my first person, which is the biggest step of faith ever, and they started doing all the hard work. And by hard work, I mean prospecting, qualifying, getting the people ready, and really that was the biggest turning point in my entire life. Letting go of that control and letting somebody else do the hard stuff in the front seat. And that made it so much easier for me because all I had to do at that point was just write the applications. They already knew me, they liked me, and they trust me. Why? Because it wasn't me telling my story. It was Rick, the guy in my office, telling my story. He would establish a rapport with people. He's great with people. And so he would just set it up, and I would just knock him down. I would write 2 or 3 applications a day, and I thought, man, this just cannot get any better. 3 applications a day. Well, now we do 12 to 15 applications a day in our office because we just kept going on with hire another person, Oh no, we got too many leads coming in. Let's hire another person. Oh no, we got too many leads coming in. Let's hire another person. So right now we've capped it at a manageable 20 people in the office. And all of our leads come from social media, so they don't cost anything. And that resulted in, and this is where I say don't do what I did. I had no goals for how much money we were going to make. Because once my bills were paid, and I came from a very poor background as a child with a brother and a single mom raising us. And you had to look 3 times at the menu and then just not order it because it looks like it's too expensive. We had to drink water every time we got to go out. We went to the restaurant once a month when my uncle would take us out as a family after church one day. And that was my exposure to life and the money world. And it took a long time to change that. And that poverty mindset is infectious, and it'll go from generation to generation to generation, where you think that those people with money did not earn it. They were just lucky. Oh, let me... There's that battery, Nate.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a boob, guys.
I think she said a boost. But anyway...
I know, Nicole would be like, what the hell?
She'll see this later. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
We have a brand new baby granddaughter born 20 days ago, and that's why my wife, Nicole, is not with us. She wants to be there for every second, which is great. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, Medicare and goal setting. I really didn't make a goal. I was just trying to hang on for dear life. And one of the good things about big, audacious goals is it kind of scares you all the way going forward. And all I knew was we got to keep up with what's coming in. So we'd hire another person. Then you'd have all the tragedies that are inherent with hiring people. Horrible people, people that steal from you, people that take your business and go somewhere else, and they'll take your methods and try to copy it and duplicate it. All those things have happened over the years. But just trying to hang on the whole time is not the best way to do it. If you can set clear, articulable goals that you can actually hit, but they're just above what you think you're currently capable of, my life would have been a lot better. And the work-life balance, I'm the epitome of doing it the wrong way. My wife had to endure many, 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 many nights away from... Thank you. Cool. Thank you. Many, many nights away from home. One of the things that I learned early on that really helped our business too was get out of the house. I was one of the first people in the industry that was selling everything entirely by phone because I didn't like my backyard. So I wanted to sell in other opportunity zones around the country where I'd find out a new carrier had a new launch, a brand new product, or people were really nice and receptive. And so that just continued to work. And I was just trying things. And so I was not home very much because I had this other office. I tried to do this stuff from home, but then you have those things like, hey, honey, while you're here, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And I knew that I needed to buckle down to provide for our family and grow this thing. So as far as goal setting, I think it's a fantastic idea to have something set in front of you. I didn't do it that way. The ultimate result of that is a lot of time missed from the kids growing up. I do not recommend that at all. Because not only, just a little behind the scenes. I felt so excited about the things that were happening that I thought were on accident, but really because I was working 20 hours a day, that I wanted to share what I was doing with other agents. So I started a website and a YouTube channel just for that, and just started blabbing about all the stuff that I'd learned about selling over the phone and building rapport over the phone so that I could scale the company. And I just kind of documented, along the way of hiring and all that. And that took even more time. So I'm like, I'm not just selling, I'm not just hiring people and managing an office. Now I'm trying to teach other agents what I was doing just because it was fun. It always lost money. But it was fun to see other people grow and change their lives. So anyway, I would not do it that way. But fast forward to what happened in my life. Now I'm 52, 53, something. I'm really old now. But when I started doing this thing, again, 1995, I got the license. Last year, we sold the company a year and a half ago. And it's just astonishing to me the value that the outside world, because I've always worked in a silo. I've always worked by myself. I never had any friends that were right there in my town that I could get together and share things with. Only at conferences that I get to share, and carrier trips, which are so great, to go meet other people and share and exchange ideas. So I was just trying to figure this stuff out on my own. And then to have sold the company for what companies out there, I guess hedge fund money, publicly traded companies are spending to buy agencies like mine, I just had no idea. And part of it was, and this is the truth, I stopped looking at the bank statements about 5 years ago, and then we would have to go to the accountant at the end, and he's like, do you realize how much money this company made? I mean, when it gets past what your bills are, and I'm not trying to brag, I'm just telling you what really happened in my life. For somebody with my background looking at that, I'm like, this is not real. Just cannot be real. When I left the sheriff's office, I was making $75,000 a year. And when I sold the company, we were making that in less than a week. And I'm like, this is just absolutely crazy. Well, since then, we sold a year and a half ago. Our company has grown 20% this past year. And my goal is to make it grow X number of percent because I've got a 3-year earn-out deal on that, which is typical for acquisitions. But the high 8 figures that they paid for the company just makes me, it's an inner turmoil because so many people with my background, I know because I talk to my family, they say, well, that's enough money to live on right now. Why don't you just take that and just retire and be done with life? However, if you look at, there's another earn-out that's even more money 3 years later, and then you can take the knowledge of all that kind of stuff and either continue with that company or do something else where you're actually helping people. It's just amazing where my limited mindset when I started this business, when I started the company, if I had kept it as small as I would have been just working for myself, and that's the biggest message to everybody all the time is hire somebody so you don't do everything yourself. Because if you do have a health situation, or you want to take a month off and go to Europe, or you need to be with your family because they just had a grandbaby, and you want to take a month off, you can't do that if you're doing everything. And especially in today's world when Medicare Advantage plans are taking over more than Medicare supplement, the service work is going to be a challenge. You're going to have to stay in touch with these people. They're going to have questions. They're going to have issues and challenges. So you have to have people in the front seats who are not doing all that stuff, and that does take the load off. I was super blessed in my life. I had an office manager that came with me 7 or 9 years ago, can't remember, and she grew with me with the company. We moved to Charleston, South Carolina, where we knew absolutely no one, had to start all over again hiring people. And I believe that she was like, it was just a miracle that she dropped in our lives when she did, because she hired all the rest of the people, trained all the rest of the people, managed the place. And like I said, we were operating in a silo. We were not a call center cookie stamp, like cookie cutter. We had no idea what a call center is. So we just built it as we went. All of the software that we used was free, like Google Sheets and Google Docs and Google Chat for the office and Gmail for our email. And well, we did start using Zapier, but we can get into that later with the technical stuff. But I'm just telling you, I've been blessed from doing it the wrong way. And as far as work-life balance and goal setting, it's so much easier to build it right, the foundation at the beginning. And everything that you do as a policy for your company, I found out, as Stephen Covey said in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, begin with the end in mind. How is this policy that I'm going to implement today, how is that going to scale when I'm not the only one doing it, when I'm not the one sending out those emails, if I'm not the one answering every phone call? How do you begin a company and set those policies? And it really starts with the heart of the company, your mission statement. What do you stand for?
So quick question. How many of you have read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People book? Okay, for those of you that have not, it's Stephen Covey, C-O-V-E-Y, and the book is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It is a classic. I highly recommend that you read it. It is one of my favorites. Back in the 90s, there was a big thing about the Franklin Covey planners. They used to have the stores and all the malls and everything else. Well, they still are around. They've just gotten way bigger with what they do. They do the planners, they do a bunch of videos, they do a lot that is a take off of the Stephen Covey book, and then they branched off into how do you get better? How do you take this to the next level? So Chris and I had dinner on Saturday night, and I said, it's the only downtime that I'm going to have. I really wanted some one-on-one time. I need you to help me, because I need somebody to talk to that has gone through some of the things that I'm currently going through, because I'm having growing pains just like every single one of you. How do I get to the next level? And in the hour that we had dinner with him and his brother, he heard more about my story. He watched me cry a couple of times, Pat, of course. But it was one of those where I was able to share where I wanted to get to and the hurdles that I had, and he was willing to go ahead and share the information. And the biggest thing that I can tell you that was my takeaway from this: think bigger, Write it down. Think bigger than where you're at right now. Take a look at where you want to be. Do you have short-term goals? Do you have long-term goals? Do you have mid-range goals? And what the hell does that mean? Anybody know what the parameters are on each of those? So your short-term goals are normally something that you can complete within 30 days to a couple of months. Your midterm goals are something that you can complete within a year or two. And then your long-term goals are your really, really big shot out of the ballpark ideas that you have. So because when I teach a class on this that is a little bit different and skewed, I do this, and thank you for the chair, you were right. So when I teach this class, and if you open up your folders, there is a goal setting strategy worksheet that is in there. Please open it up. We are now going to turn our pages to page 26, and we are going to read from the Bible. That is me. No. So the worksheet that is in there, there's questions that I'm deliberately asking on there to help you identify your goals. When I do the class, and it's a 2-hour class that I do typically via Zoom, I share what my goals are, because then I'm not calling somebody out, because a lot of this stuff is candidly private between you and your spouse or whatever. For me, my short-term goals right now, I gotta hire a contract person. I gotta hire an admin. I gotta work with my existing downline to get them prepped and ready for the upcoming season. Those are my short-term goals. On the personal side, I need to move more. On my mid-range, my 1 to 2 year goals, I started going ahead and doing CE instruction. I just got approved for 5 states to be able to do that. Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Texas. Thank you. I do that because I donate my time speaking to teach to people to get, like I said, to get you guys better. Well, I have a whole core of classes that I teach in the state of Ohio, and I take it on the road. The Anthem people used to joke, and they're like, Jesus, Amanda, you're a rock star, because you go on tour. And it's not that, it's that it's easier. I want to provide content that is close to you in venue, and I much rather have you see it in person, because you learn more, your retention is higher. So I want to expand that. So next year I'm going into Kentucky. I will go into Indiana and slowly migrate that out so that it's there. That's one of my short-term or my mid-range goals, is to make that happen. My long-range goal, my outlandish thing that I want to go after, anybody know what it is? Belt it out. I want a house in Tuscany. It is the most convoluted thing that you can ever think of, right? You got to be out of your damn mind that is what you're shooting for. Not to build the house locally, not to do everything else. I want a house in Tuscany. Tell you what, it may take me 10 years to get there. It took me 10 years to go. It took me 13 years to get my dream of owning my own agency. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. 13 years. Don't tell me I can't do it. So that's my shot in the dark. What's your shot in the dark? What is the most outlandish thing that you want? Put it out into the universe. What is it that you want? Ask yourself that. And then every day, how I do this, and again, it is practicing the Franklin Covey methodology of getting to those goals. Most of you go, okay, I got to get better at time management. Who has a time management problem in this room? Everyone in this room has a problem with that, right? So if that's the case, let me help you with that. How many of you guys have got, I know at least half of this room at some point or another has said, how the hell do you achieve what you do and still function and still have a personal life? How is that possible? I've heard it for years. There's no way that you can have a significant other. There's no way that you can have anything outside of just work. And some of you are shaking your head, and most of you are thinking that. Well, here's the thing. I have a staff of 5. That's it. There's 5 of us that made all of this happen, plus the 4 speaking engagements beforehand, plus all of the other stuff that's there. So how do I do it? Short-term goals, mid-range goals, and long-term ones. So your week, what are the deadlines that you have? And everything has a deadline. Everything has a deadline. It may be a month, it may be a week, it may be a day, it may be an hour. I am a planner. If you plan, rather than react to what is happening to you, you take the control back in your life. You take your sanity back, which some of you are going to go, Mandy, you're batshit crazy. There is no way that you took that back. But that's okay. When you go ahead and you look at your daily activity, you're going to back into your goals. So what has to be done this month? Again, I'm going to talk about me with this. And it's not because it's a me show. It's that I have to show you the example for you to do it. And I can't call out an agent because then the agent's going to get pissed. So, my actionables this week, it's to introduce myself to every single one of you and say hello and make you feel like you matter and make you feel like you're included and make you feel like you belong here, because you do. Some of you, I know, it took everything in you to come down here. You don't have anything. You're staying at the cheapest hotel that you can, but you found a way to get here, and I thank you for that. Damn it, Pat.
See, I thought I did it first.
I raise the money for these, and I keep them free so that you have education that I didn't when I started. This is my gift to all of you. And again, please thank the sponsors. They're all up there. They are the ones that share the vision and said, we believe in what you do, and they make this happen. I want you to have a good time. I don't want you to stay in your clique. Like tomorrow, I love, Sonny, that you got a crew and you're backing everybody and you're there to support Tabitha and everything else. But next time, I want you to split and put a couple other people in between that group so that y'all network with somebody else. This group here, I hope that you're sitting next to other people as you do this to meet as many people as you can here. How many of you have business cards that you brought? Hand them out. That's part of networking. And if I need to do a networking module, let me know. Also, just so that you know there isn't anything that can offend me, I want to know what you like about these conferences. I want to know what sucks. I'm not going to get offended by it. You will get a survey at the end of this. I want to know what it is, if we hit the mark, if we didn't, so that I can get it better for next year, because there will be a next year. Short-term goals. Make sure that you have a good time. Get that survey out. Launch the 2024 event that is here. And get all the logistics locked in as far as all of that goes. When I get home, and if we're looking at this month, I have to launch 6 venues for CE days, which is a 6-hour CE event that I do in 6 different cities. I have to hire 3 people. Those are all within the next 30 days. What are your actionables that you have within the next 30 days? Whether we like it or not, let's look at timeline. Okay? You have, right now, all the way through to about June 15th. June 15th is your dead date. Write it down. June 15th is your dead date. And what do I mean by that? Any change in your behavior for your agency, any change in systems, any change in what it is that you are going to do as an actionable takeaway, whether it was at this conference or anything else that you've got going on, you must have that in place by June 15th. Why? Guess what's right around the corner? AEP, right? So if you tried to go ahead and, who wants to learn a new computer system while you're taking certifications? Anybody? Anybody want to set up commissions in the month of August when you're taking your product rollouts? Sounds like fun, right? Lack of planning is what screws you. So your dead date is 6/15. Look at your business. If there are things that you need to change, and we are going to talk about back office support in about 30 minutes. We are going to talk about staffing and all of that stuff at that time. But to tee that up, you have to understand the calendar. Those of you that have heard me teach this before, I'm sorry for the repetition, but it's that important that I do it at every single training that I do. Anybody know what I mean outside of the ones that are in my downline? Any of you guys know what I mean by the Medicare calendar? Okay, so let me educate you, because most people don't understand the why things are the way that they are. And once you embrace this calendar, your life is going to get 100% better. I swear to God. I have been doing this for almost 15 years, and I live and die by this calendar. Okay? Here's where it is. End of December, beginning of January, the call letter comes out by CMS. The call letter is the rules of engagement for the upcoming AEP, where CMS has said, we think it's a good idea to bring back 48-hour SOAs. We think it's a good idea to have a disclaimer that is 9,000 minutes long. We think it's a good idea to go ahead and kill sales events that are after an educational event. That proposal comes out end of January, or end of December, beginning of January. They request feedback all the way up until the middle of February. Now, while that is going on, your carriers are asking for feedback about what you like, what you need. Many of you have had roundtable discussions or top producer discussions with your carriers at this time. Or you've had award ceremonies with your uplines to get this information so that they can disseminate it to there. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you haven't noticed, I have a little bit of a big mouth, right? So many of you feel as though you are a victim in this industry. Oh my God, CMS is doing this, why are they attacking us, and this is what's happening, and da-da-da-da-da. And you feel helpless. Use your voice. Talk to your carriers, get involved with the professional organizations, Health Underwriters or NABIP and NAFA, which I will, for those of you that, how many are a part of NABIP? Yeah. Woo! Okay, for those of you that do not know, National Association of Benefit and Insurance Professionals, NABIP, N-A-B-I-P. They are our equivalent of the American Bar Association or the AMA. They are our professional organization that speaks on your behalf. The other one that speaks on our behalf is NAIFA, N-A-I-F-A, National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. Get involved. Use your voice, because I will explain to you at the end of throughout this conference, the things that I have done and continue to do to affect this industry. Many of us have. You are not helpless with this. Believe that. So, the call letter comes out, they ask for feedback. You best believe because I'm a part of the Medicare advisory group that works directly with CMS and with Congress, I sat there and they asked for the feedback. We submitted that on behalf of NABIP. We told them how ridiculous we think a scope of appointment is and waiting the 48 hours. We also gave them other solutions. There are so many things that we are doing to work with that. So, that happens, and it's submitted by February 13th. Now, where is your focus? It's doing your year in review in January. What went well? What didn't? What do you need to improve? Evaluate your business partners. So I keep a lot of separate notebooks. The next notebook that I have is one that starts every July. And it is one that is my what happened during AEP, starting from certification forward. What went well, what didn't, so that way come January when I do my year in review, I can take out that notebook and go, okay, I got to change this. I got to hire that. I can't take the vacation in August. I've got to bump that back. And you start doing that so that you have the information for your year in review. You start doing your goal setting in January. You start asking yourself the hard questions. And then what you're going to do is you're going to ask the people that you value their opinion in your industry. You need to have mentors. You need to have people that look at you from the outside and that can say to you, you know what? And I'm going to quote somebody right now. Amanda, you're great at recruiting, but you suck at this. I was madder than hell for about 6 weeks being called out like that. I was swearing him up and down, backwards and forwards, and I'm sure he's in the back laughing. But you want to know what? I needed to hear it. And I didn't talk back at him at it. I explained and justified what I thought the answers were as to why it was where it was with those weaknesses. But I sat there and I ruminated on it when other people said, just let it go. It's one man's opinion. Except this is a man's opinion that I value more than he knows, even though I tell him every chance I get. He had the balls to have the hard conversation with me knowing that I was going to go ahead and get pissed. You have to find your business partners that can do that. And then you need to seriously take them out for a drink and ask the questions. What can I do better? I've asked you guys that already twice now. Don't get offended by it either. It's how you get better. Take those things and move forward with it. And those what you focus on in January and February, and I promise I'll give you a minute in a second. So then the next part of that. So CMS has gone ahead and submitted their feedback. You now hear in the media and in the Facebook groups and everything else, the sky's falling. And you have it where people are saying that all of the stuff that is proposed is actually being enacted when it's not. Tune all of that out. Focus on your business. Focus on your marketing plan. You should run 2 marketing plans. 2. Not 1, 2. One for lock-in, and for my new kids that don't know what lock-in is January to October. That is when you are essentially locked in to the plan that you've chosen. And somebody in here is going to go, no, it's not, because I got OEP, and I got SEP, and I got GEP, and I got all of the other ones. Okay? But no, because right now, Part D does not have an OEP on it. We're working on it. We're trying to bring it back, but it's not there right now. So the only thing that you can really focus on in lock-in is T65 and anything that's an SEP, special election period. Now here's why you have two, anybody know why you have two business plans? Because your carriers have two buckets of money. It is all about the money, guys. There is money available for you to go ahead and use, and my carriers, I'm sorry that I'm going to do this because they're going to hit you up in a minute. So there are two buckets of money that the carriers have to help you build your business. And this is the number 3 thing that I see that agents do that drive me batshit crazy. There is tens of thousands of dollars on the table, and you guys won't be bothered to write a simple email to get your hands on it. It's one of the dumbest things I see, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But you have two marketing plans. So you start focusing now on your lock-in one in the February-March timeframe. The final call letter comes out end of March, beginning of April. That is when it is set in stone what the rules of engagement for the upcoming year are. That final call letter, there's a press release, and that is when you really want to know what's happening. Once that happens, game on. Your carriers have, in essence, 60 days to figure out the changes and shift to what those changes in that call letter say to file those plans. And in that 60 days, what you're doing is you're implementing your lock-in marketing plan. You're starting to go ahead and assess who your business partners are. You are starting to go ahead and change the business systems that you think you need to upgrade your business. That happens in that sweet spot. You want to know why? Because you have the capacity to learn new behavior at that time. And take some vacations with your loved ones. So you focus on that from April to June. And then the end of June, dun, 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 certification starts. If you're smart, you earmark the first 2 weeks of July to get your certifications done for every carrier. Get it out of the way. Your AHIP and your carrier training. Have all of your ready to sell certificates done by July 15th. Okay? Ooh. And then you're going to shift gears because now you're getting invited to those early looks. You're getting invited, so now you can dedicate your sole focus into finding out what's happening for the upcoming year from July 15th all the way through to October 1. For those of you that don't know, an early look is subject to change, and it does. You're just looking, are they playing in new markets? Do you have new carriers that are coming out? Do they have new bells and whistles that are coming out? You want to know so that way you know what to market. And you start building your sketch of what your marketing plan is. August and September, that's when the CMS does the final approval on all of the Part D and the Advantage plans, which is why you have your product rollouts the last week of August and the beginning of September, which means kiss your Labor Day week trip to wherever goodbye. If you're smart, You plan to go ahead and go to your rollouts at the end of August and the beginning of September. Notice there's no office support here. No real office support. There's no change of behavior. It's all product and learning. Once you go ahead and you get through September, and the reason why you want to go ahead and go to those CMS approved product rollouts is because if anything has shifted, you want enough time to change whatever you had on slated for your marketing plan so that come October 1, game on. Those that go ahead and have a really good AEP, you want to know how they do it? It's not dumb luck. It's time management. It's time management. And this and that calendar is what they're focused on. Right thing at the right time to be able to do it. You build your AEP marketing plan July through October 1. And then you hit up your carriers during that time and say, give me some money because I'm going to sell some policies. But that's how you do it. Am I right, or do you do it differently?
No, you're right. Our shop's a little bit different. We have an emphasis on Medicare supplement. I was taught this saying a long time ago that the riches are in the niches, and being specialized in something, and it's better to be a specialist in one thing than a jack of all trades. So we kind of have a little bit of a niche there. So we do like 2% Medicare Advantage. So all of our year, it's just the same, either turning 65, whoever responds, turning 65 or people on it. I will take issue with one thing that you said.
Sure.
You said don't be offended, but then you called out my Ferrari and my Rolex. So look.
But honey, you've earned it, and those are things that motivate you. It works.
See, some guys like me are very simple people.
And
I
I
just
love
have
your
to have
Ferrari.
some kind of a goal, something to look forward to. And like you said before, always having that next thing to look forward to has meant so much to my life. And they've been little things throughout the years, but then I used to watch Magnum PI. Did anybody know that show, Magnum PI? And then I saw that car was up for sale. I'm like, so I
Have to have it. It's pretty slick. If you haven't seen it, check it out on social media. It's pretty.
Anyway, yeah, as the goal setting, I'm really simple. And I want to go on this trip or, have this thing for my wife or this car or something so that I can work harder. And a friend of mine used to say, for new agents, if you get complacent, you need to go, and I don't agree with this, but you need to go get a big car payment for a really cool car that'll kick you in the tail and make you show up every day and do what's necessary. I think that's kind of backwards. I've always liked working towards something so I can go, look, if we hit that goal as an office, or if we hit that goal as far as personnel, we onboard another person successfully, then I can treat myself by doing whatever, or our family by going somewhere.
Which it's funny that you say that, because that's something that my mother told me 20 years ago. And she said this, and she's been in sales. She was a trailblazer in her industry. And she said, Amanda, every time that you get a commission check, go buy yourself something tangible. Go buy yourself something tangible, whether it's a toaster, whether it's a piece of jewelry, whether it's a trip, whatever it is. But buy yourself something so that way on your hard days where you don't want to work anymore and things are hard and you want to throw your hands up, you can look at that and go, I did that. When I started at Anthem, I'd sit in my house and it was, okay, well, that entertainment center, that was this AEP's check. And that was, and you had something that you would look at and go, the money's not gone, it's not disappeared, it's not unfrizzled, but you have something that remotivates you. So I would definitely recommend, and it's funny that Chris is saying something similar, figure out what you want. It doesn't have to be something lavish. It can be simple. Some people, it's simple is good. Other people, they need the big things. My significant other, we were talking about tag watches because he's a watch guy. And he's like, I would really like one. Well, those cost a couple $1,000s. Okay, it's on the list. Maybe I can go ahead and make that happen for his birthday. And that's a short-term goal of mine. Figure out what yours are. But then every time that I look at it, I know, okay, you know what? It's a job well done. You have to motivate yourself. Go ahead.
We got some good stuff tomorrow, y'all. On the social media stuff and the local marketing stuff. Do not miss tomorrow. Just want to let you know. Really good stuff coming up. Anyway.
So I'm going to open this up. What questions do you guys have about goal setting and strategy? Anybody? Bueller? Kelly? I want to rule the world, Kelly. I had to. You set it up. How big would I go?
I don't like big government, so, but I've read books, 10X, I've read,
Yeah.
what's ridiculous, my mind was like, oh, this is $2 million a year.
Yeah.
Should I be thinking $4 million a year? Should I I know I have to hire staff, I just have my assistant.
So the question is how big do you get? How big do you, how does that happen? That's a question that you have to answer, because you have to look at what is that outlandish long-term goal that you want to get to, and then back into what that is. I have people in this room that are semi-retired that are like, you know what? I do this because I don't want my wife to kill me. You know?
So I'm a little unique where,
Yeah.
and my friend Shelly, we went to high school together. Well, married, not married, no kids.
Right.
So throw out 90% of the shit. I'll take care of just me.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of that aspect.
So his point is that he has no kids, he's not married, and he's not into the Ferraris and things like that. So how big do you go? So yeah, Sonny.
So I would say that the goals could potentially change. Yeah, when I first got my business, I had goals of just being able to pay bills, and as we grew and got bigger, I had
Yeah.
X amount of dollars in my company, and I reached that my
So Sonny's saying that when he went ahead and initially it was that, you know, he's readjusted his goals as he's grown. And that's okay. That's why you want to do the assessment every year, to figure out and readjust those so that way you have that ability to continue to grow. Did you have more?
Same thing. And to that point, the way that I did my growth was not because I wanted to have 20 employees and make $5 million a year. I didn't want that. What I wanted was a business that could go on without me having to be there all the time. And so once the infrastructure was there with management and people to take the calls and people to take care of the people who count on me, I'm the face of the company, that the only one they see, believe it or not, I got a face for radio. But they're the clients calling in are like, I need help. And I've not been able to control the social media stuff. So as it just continued to grow and grow and grow, I did it more out of obligation, I think, to take care of people who are expecting that, rather than working on it from the beginning and saying, I'm going to hire another person and then go do more marketing. I'm going to hire another person. So really, I kind of fell into mine backwards. I never had the goal of making more than what it took to live a cool lifestyle and not have to worry about a paycheck or getting an employer to, favor me or not. I just wanted to be my own person. The rest just kind of took off once, and we're going to talk about that. Systems, when the right systems are in place, then sometimes it just takes on a life of its own. When somebody in your office comes to you and says, we need two more admin people like right now. We cannot handle the burden. Okay, go hire them. Rather than, I hope one day I get to 20 employees and leave. And I know a lot of friends in the industry, I talk to them on the trips, they have 100 people, 200 people. I don't want anything like that.
Nope.
Nothing like that whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's how I did mine. I didn't.
Another
have a goal
comment,
of
and then I'm
doing
going to go to Rich.
So just transitioning from, I see everybody face to face.
Mhm.
99%, I do all of it. I'll tell them to transition from, somebody else does everything, they use people.
I wasn't going to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it.
I mean, it's a mind block.
I had a friend, his name was Dave, lived in Kansas City. Really good friend. We used to see him on all the carrier trips. And Dave was the same way. He was 55 when I met him. Tremendous guy, amazing personality, but he insisted on seeing every client face to face, and he insisted on doing that every AEP. He would go see all the clients. He was seeing 12, 13, 15 people a day, and he had a heart attack and died at 57. I don't say that to scare anybody. I'm just saying that I kept telling Dave, please hire some people, please. But he was just running himself to death. He was very comfortable, lived a really good lifestyle, but because he took on more on his shoulders than he needed to, but he felt that innate obligation to do everything himself. And one of the biggest transitions in my shop was they answer the phone. They have to assume the credibility that came from the social media because they already know, like, and trust me. They don't know who that is. So our biggest training for our intake people is borrow the credibility from where they came and just keep going with that rather than, hey, is Chris Westfall there? I want to talk to him because I just saw something. So being able to transition that, like, changed everything.
So Kelly, how I recommend that you do that is initially you start out, first hire that I recommend is an admin. Get a right hand that is your admin. That's your first person that you invest in. And this goes into, we'll go into a little bit more detail in the math and the finance on this, and Rich, I'll get to you in a second, and I'll get to you in a minute. But the first person that you do is your admin. Then you start hiring in service people. Your service people are there to work on your existing block of business. They're the ones that can go ahead and do your service work. They're the ones that can go ahead and check, and you have them licensed so that way they can go ahead, and if somebody needs a plan change and they're an existing client, they can go ahead and do it, and it's not monopolizing your time. Your time should be focused on bringing new business in. So you're front of the house, they're back of the house, and I'm a firm believer in that model. I've got guys that have 5 assistants behind the scenes running a block, and they do it very, very well. That's how I would do it. To Chris's point and to your point, for my business, initially I looked at it and went, I could be huge if I wanted to. I could do all the things if I wanted, but the reality is, I don't need a couple thousand agents underneath me. I don't want that. I want a better work-life imbalance. So I'm going to work to be able to get to where I want to be, and I'm still going to continue to push and knock things out of the park, but I don't need all of those things. I know where my limit is. Last year was an extremely hard year for me for multiple reasons, but the biggest one that was was that the biggest reason why it was hard, get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone and start experiencing different things. It's kind of like trying different foods, and you go ahead and you go, well, I don't want to try that. That looks gross, right? And then you find that you love it. Get out of your comfort zone. Start experiencing different things. Go to other conferences, and don't be a conference, as Galen calls it, don't be a conference whore. But get out, do at least a couple of conferences so that you can see what else is going on in the industry, because you guys are siloed. But then identify what you don't want. Last year was all about, for me, identifying what I didn't want. And saying, you know what, this isn't for me. This is great that you have these business models and you're doing all of this stuff and you're rocking the park. But you know what, it ain't my gig. Play to your strengths. That's where you got to go with that. And it's okay if your business model is different than somebody else's, and it's not a rat race. Stop looking at your neighbor like that. Just because somebody posts on Facebook that they did 600 applications in 3 days, guess what? They're full of shit. So don't trust and use that as your source. Rich. Outside voice. Yeah. So Rich's point is that his success is defined by how much free time that he has. It isn't by how many apps.
And last year when I told you what I wanted to do, because I decided to scale my business because it's been on autopilot for years. And you told me I don't want to work that hard, what I want to do. And I'm like, you're probably right there for a while. So now I've decided to go back to work, and I'll ramp up for another 3 years. And then I'll go back to my, but it takes on a life of its own. It's,
figure out what you want, set it and forget it, and then come back. It's the way that it goes. And
So, when I teach you guys, the men specifically, how to use your mom voice, all right?
It's from the belly. It isn't from up here. It's down here.
Diaphragm, guys.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, you asked about goal setting, and you're not a materialistic person. You don't have kids. I'm standing, so sorry. You know, what do you set your goal at? My thing was always, well, I wish I could. I wish I had. I wish I won. That was my goal setting, and that's how I added my admin. That's how I added those things that gave me the time to do what I love. And for years, I said, I wish I had another me, which is scary to my team to have another me because I'm a lot. My husband specifically was terrified of that, to have another me. And God blessed me with another me. I mean, it took years to get, but Kim is my sister. I mean, Kim, this is the other me. So ask yourself, you may not need a goal, but ask yourself, I wish. What is it that you wish for? What do you want? I don't want a Ferrari. I don't want a big mansion. I don't need those things. I have everything that I've ever wanted. My husband, my children. I have a phenomenal life, a phenomenal business. But I wish I had someone to help me make my life a little easier at work so I can be the mom that I love to be. And I was blessed with Kim. She's my I wish. So our next thing is now I wish I want to take my team, my office staff to Hawaii. So guess what we're doing next Easter? We're
Yeah.
going to Hawaii.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
So for those that do not know, that is Ann Meyer. She will be speaking tomorrow. She is one of the speakers here.
It doesn't have to be a huge goal. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. Don't stress yourself out with the little stuff.
Correct.
What is your I wish? That's your goal.
One thing I would just piggyback on that. One thing that I said earlier was, as Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. Where is your company going to be when you're ready to get out? And I see so many agents doing it where they're going to work until they just can't work anymore. Now they're disabled or they have to be forced into retirement because they love it so much. I would push back and challenge that when you reach a certain age goal that you want to be, where you transition the business away so that if you're not there at all, you either sell it through an acquisition, which is a big thing these days, and we can talk about that at any point. There are certain things that you can do to get your business ready to be acquired, things that they're looking for, that if you are the only sole provider in that business, the valuation is going to be so much less. What they're looking for is systems, continuity, scalability, and continued growth. And if you can show those things to a potential acquirer, there are a lot of them in the market right now that'll pay 14, 15, 20 times your annual earnings. It's insane. There's such a market for that. And then think about your life post-acquisition, after you've sold the company. What do you want to do then? And so many of us, as we're small business people, we just think, I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to leave it to my kids. And in my case, that's not possible. My son doesn't want anything to do with the business, and my daughters don't either. So I had to look at the long-term goal. And it's just amazing that when you shift your focus to thinking about what's the next chapter in my life look like? What does the end of this business look like? And I kid you not, when I had the thought, this is weird when that statement that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Literally, when I had the thought and talked to my wife, I think we should look at the acquisition because the marketplace looks like it's insane right now for agencies being acquired that are just like mine. I had 3 offers within 30 days. And that's them approaching me because the market's just that way. And I did not go out to anybody. And so that you can piggyback onto, oh, well, they're offering this, they're offering that. Who am I going to work with? But the end goal should not just be how I'm going to ride off into the sunset. There's got to be a business continuity plan because your clients deserve that, I think. They deserve to have somebody that's going to step up when you no longer can. And the reality is we can't continue to do the same things we've always done forever. And if you want to leave a legacy behind, if you have any relatives or any charitable causes, one of the greatest things that's come out of this acquisition with me is to be able to support causes that I've always watched throughout the years, but was too scared with my own money, like, wait, I might need that in case we're sued or have to buy a building or have to do something, hire more people. Let me just keep it away somewhere. But now to be able to support these causes that are so important to my family, that just changes the whole dynamic. When it's not about me, first it's about let's take care of the clients. We have more clients, we need more staff just to take care of the clients. And then what can I do that's beyond the needs that I have, beyond the needs of my family? and try to help other people. And that's been the best part of it. But anyway, that talking about a goal, that's like what I think the ultimate long-term goal is. We have to think better as small business people of what happens when I'm not doing this anymore. Do I want to cash out or do I want it to flame out?
Yes.
So, 2011, I started this business, and I thought it was going to be heavy, maybe like $60, $80 a month for savings and help me out. And I'm a machine, okay? I mean, I just cranked it out. By 2014, when I wrote the 59 policies, during AEP, I took Atlanta and no you lose in your day shift. Okay, so I'm driving all over. I can't take no more, but not heart attack, but I had to I almost died with me. Once I recovered, I did have a massive recovery. Okay, I hired a cab language to drive my little car, making that same figures to I have in Davis. I Davis make 6 figures and I'm really strong. I mean, I really to make sure when somebody comes to work under my umbrella that they were serious. I've never had a mentor, and I'm loving what you have to say. I can't hear again.
Chris.
Westfall. Chris, yeah. Like you go west and then you fall down.
Yeah, I would love to have you. My name is Bonnie Dawson, and it's Mike.
Hi, Bonnie. So for those that didn't hear, she does a lot of face-to-face, started out on her own, had a med business, ended up with congestive heart failure, and then ended up building her business to where she has, would you say 10 agents underneath her, got a bunch of the load off of her, which then it readjusted her focus. So awesome story. Thank you for sharing, and that's fabulous. Any other questions or comments? Yes?
How do you motivate your team to set those goals, take ownership, keep that a priority?
So the question is how do you motivate your team to set their goals and then move forward? Okay, so I can take this and then you can take it because we have I'm sure we're going to have two different things with that. There are multiple different ways to motivate people. Acknowledgement, money, time, and there's a whole slew of other ones. There's books on it. Google ways to motivate people and you'll find the core ones. So I'll give you this, okay? Me, I could give 2 shits less about money. Don't care. Don't care. Tell you who knows how to motivate me is Craig Vilwalk. And you want to know why? Because there's 2 ways to motivate me. First one for me, don't tell me I can't do it. Don't tell me I can't do it. Hold my beer and watch it. Because I'm not only going to do it once, I'm going to do it a couple of times and then go, and there you go. I just did. That's my motivation. I have a competitive streak, and I own that. The other one for me is time. I would rather have 30 minutes of valuable time one-on-one with somebody than $1,000. There are certain people that I would give more than that to have 30 minutes with. Time is my motivator. Time is my gift. So when there's bonuses that are thrown at me, Rob Cleary at Anthem was real good at this, and he found my motivators real early. Regional Vice President of Anthem. His thing was that he came in with a distraught sales staff. We were all looking to quit. We were all overworked, tired as hell, trying to figure out what to do. And this guy comes in 6 weeks before AEP into a flat-out shit show. And when he held that meeting, which we were all madder than hell that we had to drive 4 hours to go to, and get up at 7 in the morning, and the first thing he did was recognize everybody by their LinkedIn picture and introduced himself. That mattered to me. Rather than him coming in because he held that title thinking that he was holier than thou, he actually knew my name and knew what I was about. Not that he was warned, because I know I come with a warning label, but because he took the time and acknowledged, I saw your stuff on LinkedIn. It's nice to meet you. The next thing he did is he found out how I was motivated, and he did that with every single person on his team. And then, the people that were motivated by money, that's where he targeted. The people like me that it was about time. They rolled out comp packages where it was, I'm going to give you 2 weeks of a vacation or whatever. Find their motivators. Once you find what motivates the people that work with you, regardless of whether you're paying their paycheck or those that are around you, once you find that, it's gold. That is the biggest thing that I can tell you to do. And then you set realistic goals. Rhonda Clark and Aaron Ackenheil used to go ahead and call them stretch goals. So it's a goal that you know is attainable, and then you tack on about anywhere between 10 to 20% on top of that. Let's make you work for it. Let's try it. If I automatically go 50% above that year over year, I can't do that. There's no way to do it. I had somebody that I took a call from that said, Amanda, my product is absolute crap. I can't sell that. And my goals are keep rising and keep rising and keep rising, and it's affecting my paycheck. I don't know what to do. You want to have, if your staff immediately throws their hands up at the goals that you've set, that's a problem. So it's a fine line. You want them scared about the goal, where it's like, I don't know if I can hit that. But then you're going to come back in and go, you know what? I believe that you can, and I'm going to give you the tools on how to do it. That's how you approach it. And if you do, and it's not, you know what? Gary, you need to go ahead and sell 30 policies for me next month. Get on it. And if you don't, you're out. I can tell you right now, Gary's going to look at me and go, no way in hell that that's happening. I'm done. I can't do that. But if I said, Gary, your goal is to go ahead and hit a couple a week, and what do you think you need to make that happen? He's going to work with me all day long, and I bet you what, I'm going to get to my number. It's all about how you talk about it.
I come from the other devil's advocate. I think that's why I'm here. I'm just a little bit of behind the scenes. I'm too nice of a person in my office, and that's why I had a number 2. That was the harder one. She would have the more difficult conversations. And one thing that has been my big failure through the years is having the stick on the other side of the carrot. We have so much dollars per hour, so much per case, bonuses. My wife plans off-site parties all the time, things that we pay for out of our own pocket. Like we spent 30 grand at our AEP party to have everybody in the hotel, bring their significant other, have it catered, DJ, wonderful dinner and all that kind of stuff for a weekend. But we do so much on the positive side that I know that this is a weakness, and a hard thing with me is that we don't have enough on the negative side, so that there's a consequence to the people who are like slipping down. And I heard about an organization, quite popular organization, that always comes in and they fire their bottom salespeople, and then they rehire and get everybody, but they always want to find the lowest person and get rid of them, because obviously, and in my company, everybody's getting the same leads. There are people who are calling in, and basically they could be order takers, because people already want to buy when they call in. They know the products, they know us, and that's really it. And so if we lose it, it's ours to be lost. It was already going to be an application. And in the right hands in the office, we have a top producer that makes a lot, like $150 a year, and she's doing great, and she's buying her own house, and these are the same leads that the bottom person is getting. So if I look at it as a business mind, I'm thinking, I'm losing all this because I'm getting the same quality leads to the person who's not putting in as much effort to sell them. So if do as I do and not as, do as I say, not as I do, and there's got to be a gentle correction, some accountability, and some kind of a cutoff where if somebody's going to take advantage of the system, they've got to be out. And again, that's my biggest failure, but I would tell myself if I went back 10 years that the business would be so much more profitable if I had the bottom end of the expectation there and let that be all the time for what it's worth.
Okay, we are at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys 15 minutes to, well, at least 15. We're going to try to be back in 15 minutes. To use the restrooms that are in the back, go to the bar, grab yourself a drink if you need one, check your emails and to return some phone calls, and then we will be back at 10:15, please. Yes? Sit down. Okay, so the next module that we're going to start talking about, which is what all of you guys, by the way, why aren't you drinking? I got mine. Did you see your cups and your thing light up? Aren't they cool? Thank you, TLC, for those. I got a fake drink. Cheese. Is everybody racist? Guys, please go ahead and grab your drinks. It is okay to drink while we go ahead and we sit here. We've got another hour and a half. Some of you were asking about lunch and real food. If you want to stay after the conference and grab a table and do food, you can. There's plenty of other places here as well, but by all means, and definitely tip the servers and belly up to the bar if you want. So, at the break, had a lot of people come and they're like, okay, but you're talking about admins, you're talking about additional agents, you're talking about all of this different stuff. I don't know where to begin. I don't know what the math looks like. I don't know that I can afford that. I don't know how to go to the next level. And I stopped several of you so that way we could have that conversation now. When I do conferences, guys, I build a foundation. And then we continually, throughout the progression of the conference, we're going to build on the things that we talk about. There's a reason that we started with the goals. If you don't know where you're going, you don't know what it is that you need. And just because you see on Facebook or you've talked to somebody in a conference or wherever, and they're telling you what it is that they need, it may not necessarily be what is right for you. So this next hour and a half, we are going to actually get into some of the meat and potatoes. And I am actually going to bring up Mike McCormick, who has come in from New York. And then Chris is going to join us again, and we're going to kind of panel this and just loosely talk about what we see as far as back office stuff and staffing. How do you build it, right? So gentlemen, if you want to come on up, grab a seat, and we'll go ahead and we'll start. Please welcome Mike and Chris. So for this panel, the reason why I chose the two of them to come up is as you heard, Chris has got an amazing business model that is very different than mine. His is phone, mine is in person, and some of you do a little bit of both, or you do one side or the other, and I wanted to be able to address both of those in the room. Mike is on the panel because he has some amazing information when it comes to different back office technology. I will be the first person to tell you I suck at technology and knowing what to use that's right. He asked, as I mentioned, he's got a Facebook group. It's called Insurance Soup. And there's always something that he does as a daily post that I tell him all the time. He needs to write a book with the posts that he does because they're thought-provoking, and it's something that challenges me. And it's something that gets me better at what I do, which is why he's here. When he's asking these questions, and a couple of weeks ago he put one out there and said, when it comes to technology, what is it that you need? Or what is your biggest hurdle? Mine? Technology is running so fast I can't keep on top of it. I don't know what to use. I barely know how to use a damn iPhone. The only reason why I started with an iPhone is they took my BlackBerry away at Anthem, and they went, here's your new office phone, and I had to figure out how to use it. But I don't know how that is. I have no idea what the hell a Zapier is. No clue what that is. You're swearing at me at this point, Chris. I don't know how to do that, and I know a lot of you are in that position. So I wanted to bring people on this panel that can educate us on the foundational things that, hey, this technology is out there. One of the things that I get, or that I found, and I used to be really, really hands-on with setting appointments. I would shoot the emails back and forth when agents want to talk to me and this, that, and the other thing, or when I'd see them in a conference and they'd be like, hey, I really got to talk to you. I got to get on your calendar. So the emails would go back and forth. And let's say I've got 10 agents that these emails are going back and forth at. And I'm booking my calendar and da-da-da-da-da. And then the agents are getting pissed, the ones that waited 2, 3, 4 days to respond to the email, because now the availability time that I had was gone. And they're like, well, what the hell? You just told me it was available. Yeah, it was. You snooze, you lose. Now we got to try again, right? Anybody else suffer from this problem? Do you know how much time you waste by trying to figure out and be your own appointment setter? And I was doing it because, well, no, I want the personal touch. I want them to feel as though they're valued. And then I found Calendly. Calendly is not that expensive, guys, and it is the best thing ever. It allows you to go ahead and put a link on your email that says, hey, you want to schedule a meeting? Click this link and then you're good to go. I have it on my website. I've had multiple people ask, how can I get on your calendar? What you do, go to MedicareAnswersNow.com. In the upper left-hand corner, it says schedule a meeting. Click on the button that says discuss working with us or whatever it is that you need. Enter that and it gets you direct access into my calendar. And it's real time. Who has a problem with no-shows or people that don't answer the phone or answer the door when you've set the appointment? Calendly will link into your email, it'll link into your Zoom, or you can schedule it so that they're face-to-face. They can pick their mode of how they want to talk to you. It sends reminder texts. It does all sorts of things. It is one of the coolest things and the best practice that I implemented, and it's Rich's fault. So you can thank him for that one. And you want to know what? When I rolled it out, the agents weren't mad. They still knew that I loved them. They still knew that it was okay to use that type of technology to schedule an appointment. So do it and take a look at it. But it freed up a ton of my time. So that's one of those things that you want to go ahead and take a look at. One of the other things that I would look at is to start out. Anybody track their commissions, or are you guys a screw it, whatever the carriers pay me, they pay me, and I'm going to trust that the carrier pays me right? Anybody do that? Yeah? I'm not going to admit it and raise my hand, but yeah, I do that. Guess what? It's your responsibility to make sure that you're getting paid for the work that you do. Do you work for free? No? So at the very least, you want to start with a spreadsheet tracking that stuff. And then you want to look at what's referred to as a CRM. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff today. We're going to talk about staffing. So, which one of those do you guys want to talk about first? Game on.
All right, I guess I'll start, and we'll dig into technology. Can't tell if it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Is it? Okay, cool. Normally I've got no problem projecting my voice, and I don't hear myself. Maybe it's the fans. It is hard. I'm not close enough. Okay.
You got to have it in your mouth, that's why.
All right. we're videoing this, right? They'll
Great. And especially when you bring it up and forward like you're doing, you know, it's a new meme.
Maybe we get a second one. You can get a second mic. But,
I hope you guys just woke up by that. Come on.
so you know. Thank you.
He's the smart one in the group.
No, I guess we should talk about technology, right? So there's a lot to really dig into here, guys, and you know, there's a lot that you could be doing, a lot that you should be doing, a lot that I could throw out at you guys that may be a little bit too much for you guys. You know, show of hands, just so I can get like a feel for the room. How many of you guys and gals in here are like one-person shops right now? Okay. How many of you guys have got 2 to 5 employees? How many of you guys are 10 plus in the office? Okay, so by and large, we're generally dealing with smaller agencies. And one of the biggest issues that we've got when we are getting started is we're wearing all hats at the same time, right? So you're doing the sales, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the budgeting, you're doing the reconciling, you're doing the, well, I mean, if you're a one-man show, you're checking your own commissions to make sure that it's right and all that kind of stuff. And as a result of all these different hats that we're wearing, right, we wind up letting things in our business just naturally slip through the cracks. We're already putting in our 12-hour days. We're already doing the peanut butter and jelly lunches or the ramen noodle lunches. But at the end of the day, we are just overwhelmed with everything that we have got on our plate. And that overwhelm is natural. That overwhelm is real. And at the end of the day, it could be what stands in the way of us being able to be productive on that given day versus the day going completely sideways. You know, how many times do you wake up in the morning with a plan of attack and by 9:07 your day is completely sideways? Like I am making those 100 dials today. I am going to send those 15, 20 emails. I am going to follow up with Mr. Jones, who I've been putting off for 4 days. This great deal that I've been sitting on my desk, you know, that I was supposed to call back yesterday. I'm going to get back to him today, I promise. And all of a sudden, today is over all over again, and you're on to tomorrow. Does that sound and feel familiar? And it doesn't even have to be the business throwing the curveball. It could be your kid calling, you know, the nurse calling you saying, you know, little Tommy's got a tummy ache. You got to come pick him up. You know, the bottom line is, particularly when we are brand spanking new, we are juggling while not knowing how to juggle. Like, imagine that for a second. Imagine you were going to put on a show, a juggling show for people, and then try juggling for the very first time in front of the people that showed up. That's what we're doing when we're new in this industry. We're saying to everyone that we're working with, trust me, even though I don't trust myself yet. So how do you get to a point where you can start trusting yourself more? You have to start building systems. You have to start leaning on technology. You have to start leveraging some of these different tools that are available for you that allow you to be in more places at more times, to be more things to more people, to be having those conversations for you, as you, when you're not available or present to do it yourself. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is, you know what, before I even dig into it, I'm going to whip out my phone. A lot of times at these events, people are like, oh, Mike's on his phone, you know, he's so busy, and it's because I'm taking notes for when I'm going to be speaking to everyone later. And I wanted to go through a number of thoughts that I was having earlier before coming up here. First off, 92% of all customer interactions no longer happen face-to-face. 92%. Over 60% of all sales conversations at this point are no longer initiated by a human being. So if you are sitting there with your phone and your Rolodex, thinking to yourself, I'm going to get through my 100 dials today, well, I hope you do. You probably won't. Cheers if you do. But also, those 100 dials that you're looking to get through, what if I told you I could be through those 100 dials by 9:03 in the morning? I've made my 100 dials. I've already gotten all 100 people to either pick up the phone or not pick up the phone, and I'm still going. Those are dialers. Any of you guys using dialers right now?
Couple people.
Couple people. So with dialers, you're able to take your data, you're able to load it up, and what it will do is it will call 2, 3, 5 of those numbers at a time and only connect you to the person that's picking up. All the while, when you hang up or while you're leaving a voicemail, starting that next phone call for you. It's recognizing that you're leaving the voicemail and it's time to start dialing the next number.
So as I've got some of you that are looking going, okay, well, what does that mean to me? Think about it this way, and I'm going to put some action items to this so that it's actionable takeaways for them. How many of you sell Med Advantage in here? Okay, how many of you sell Med Sup? How many of you sell Part D? How many of you sell cancer? Hospital indemnity. You're getting your exercise in now. Woohoo! 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so imagine this. Your existing clients with your updates. One of the questions that I get asked all the time. You find out, or you need to set September, you got to set all of your appointments for October for your existing clients, right? Everyone in this room does. Rather than smile and dial to that 1,100 block of business that you have, you use a dialer to go ahead and do that. What if you had the ability to flag the people that had Advantage plans that have an OTC benefit that ends at the end of the month? And you go ahead and you now have the ability to dial all of those people and say, hey, did you go ahead and do your benefits and redeem your groceries? Or to redeem your OTC because it's a use it or lose it, and these are benefits that you have. The number one thing that you guys are all worried about is somebody stealing your business and taking your client, right? And how do they steal your client? Because you're not servicing them. And what's the problem that you guys all have? I don't have time to service my clients because I got to get more in the door, right? So what he's talking about is putting systems in place like a dialer, so now you can service that book. You can go ahead and put the dialer in to go ahead and say, hey, use your groceries. Hey, use your OTC. Hey, we need to go ahead and schedule your appointment for AEP and do your drug review. Please call us at this number or go to this website, or here's how you need to schedule. That's the types of things that this can do from an application point. Now, if you're doing med sups in the state of Ohio, it is illegal to call med sups, so that is a caveat. But everywhere else, you can call them. You cannot cold call Advantage and Part D. We know this, and it's a massive problem that we're going to talk about tomorrow. But you have the ability of using this multiple ways, guys. So that's where the application comes with what he's talking about. Yes?
I just want to make sure that, are you saying you can put a recording on it of your voice saying, this is just a reminder to use your over-the-counter benefits?
So the question is that, so with a dialer, can you record your voice and then say, this is a reminder to do da-da-da-da-da, and then call all of these people?
Yeah, so as far as that's concerned, it's going to vary from vendor to vendor. But some vendors will allow you to have your voicemail already previously recorded so that you can just press a button when that voicemail picks up and you move on. There are other technologies out there. I was going to cover one of them in a few minutes here called ringless voicemail technology. Ringless voicemail technology basically gets you past the dialing, the ringing of the phone and directly into their voicemail. Very, very powerful tool. There's some new laws that are coming down the pipe around that, very similar to cold texting people. So I wouldn't recommend using ringless voicemails for prospecting purposes, but when you're dealing with your own client base and you're dealing with people that you've got a relationship with and all that kind of stuff, the ringless voicemail is another very, very strong way, whether it's being done automated or whether it's being done on a one-to-one basis, that you can really move the meter and enhance your conversations and your relationships. So, how many of you guys in here have clients that whenever they call in, you're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I understand you guys.
Hold on. Yes.
Yes.
It will relay it to somebody else. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Hold on a minute. Shelley?
I just want to make sure I'm clear in understanding. The dialer is just a software tool that you use to dial for you, and you're still at the other end of the phone, right?
Correct.
So she asked for clarification of what a dialer is. Do you want to take it or you want me to?
It's basically taking a list that you've uploaded to it, and it's dialing several numbers simultaneously and connecting you to who's picking up and dropping all the other calls. So you don't have the ability to dial 5 phone numbers at once. If you did, you'd probably be on the news. But it allows you to get in front of significantly more people throughout your day. Now,
So my next question is are there vendors that you like for that kind of technology? Where would they start to even investigate that?
well, I know in the health space, you've got a lot with, regulations
Yeah.
and laws and all that kind of stuff. So I would probably start with something that is recording your calls, for sure. Not just a dialer that allows you to make calls, something that's actually recording the calls as well. You want to do that anyway because, for training purposes and accountability and, all that kind of stuff, you want to make sure that you're recording calls. But
We deal with old people, guys. They're losing their memory. They can't remember what they've talked about anyway. So for your protection, you want to. Chris, do you use any dialers?
Yeah, we use Slide Broadcast for our voicemail drops. Every month we'll do 2,000 to 4,000 voicemail drops to the people who are renewing their Medicare supplement 45 days out. On top of that, we do an email blast to those people. And it's really nice because if you put the two technologies together, you put a Calendly link in the voicemail, and we'll do that with a simple website like scheduleyourreview.com or mymedsupreview.com, and we talk about that. Then it just drives all those people to a tool rather than drawing all those people to call you at the same time, which if you can imagine, if you put out 3,000 voicemails simultaneously, your phones are blown up and it's not good for anybody. So we do stagger them out for the renewal voicemails, but we also try to drive them to the tool so that they can be greeted with a video explaining why we're doing this, what the renewal is, what that means to them, and then right underneath it, the Calendly tool so they can book their own appointment.
And for those that weren't writing fast enough, can you repeat the dialer that you use?
Slide Broadcast, S-L-Y.
Slide Broadcast.
Like you're very sly about it, but it's Slide
Sly.
Broadcast. Yeah. S-L-Y, Sierra, Lima, Yankee. S-L-Y, Slide Broadcast.
I'm going to give you guys a super sneaky tip with regards to ringless voicemail if you guys are going to lean into this. If you guys marry ringless voicemails to your emails, your open rate will go through the roof. And here's how you do it. So you're gonna put together whatever kind of email correspondence you have for whatever list you're working with, and you're going to send that out. 3 hours later, you drop them a ringless voicemail that just says, "Hey, it's Mike over at the agency. Just wanted to let you know that I sent you a pretty important email a little bit earlier. When you have a moment, if you could check it out." Now, did I use your name in that voicemail? "Hey, it's Mike over at the agency. I shot you an email." when you have a moment, it's important, check it out. I didn't use your name, but it feels very personal, doesn't it? Like, why is my agent calling me right now? So that goes out to 100, 200, 500, 1,000 people. And like Chris was just saying, it's smart to stagger it. Otherwise, your phone is going to be blowing up. Like, you'll have 100 people calling at, 5 minutes after you do it, and then you'll be quiet the rest of the day. So you want to stagger it out. But having that voicemail that drops in after the email, letting someone know, hey, I sent you something important, you'll see your email open rates go from 3, 4, 5% north of 50. So it's a pretty substantial move, if you decide that you want to lean in there and utilize ringless voicemail as a way of marketing your business.
Yeah, think about your AEP updates too. What's new in Medicare? And we'll talk about social media tomorrow, but if you hypothetically put a video on YouTube talking about the changes for next year, and then you send the email out to your clients, and then you do the ringless voicemail, then everybody's hitting your page that hosts that video. It's an embedded video, and that will really help your YouTube channel, your video and the analytics and all that too.
How many of you guys are writing the same email multiple times a day, every day, in some form or fashion? Small handful. How many of you people are sending out any kind of text messaging to your clients? Very, very similar message all day, every day. Are any of you guys using templates for it? If you're not using some kind of templated form of communication for the exact same conversations you're having over and over and over and over again, you are wasting time. You don't need to have a different or more unique way of saying you didn't pay your bill because it's Mrs. Smith as opposed to Mr. Jones.
Okay, application on this one. How many people get phone calls or emails that say, I can't find my ID cards, what's the number for my member services? How many of you guys get calls about, well, I don't know how to order my OTC, and I need the directions? How many of you get questions about, how do I go ahead and find the Silver Sneakers location that's here, and I need to get that information? Those are all templated responses that can be used. This is what he's talking about. You know what? You have somebody that goes ahead and you have a welcome email that you want to send to all of your Humana people that you've put on the HMO in whatever county. And you want to put, okay, here's the number to member services. Here's the number to Silver Sneakers. Or here's the number to how you get your groceries. Here's your number to transportation. Here's how you get your ID cards. Here's how you do XYZ. Sending that once a quarter is a smart move. The goal is to get the service work off your plate so you can focus on sales. Because again, how do you lose clients? How do you keep them away from Joe Namath? That's what you guys are all pissed off about, right? How do we stop them from going ahead? Exactly. How do we go ahead and stop them from going and getting rewritten from somebody else? The trick is to stay in front of them. Using templates like this, you set it, forget it, and then when applicable, you can fire it out. That's what he's referring to when he's talking about this and how to do templates. And you have the ability of doing that through any of the Gmail, Outlook. Your email system can do that. Make sense? So the question is what do you do when your customer is not tech savvy or is illiterate and can't read? So how do you go ahead and handle those updates and everything else? Candidly, smile and dial. Flag them in your CRM that that's what they are and then go to a different mode.
At the end of the day, you got to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
You can't take someone who is incapable of these things and try and figure out how you're going to make them able to, at this advanced stage of life, be able to embrace something that's never been important to them. So
one of the fastest growing demographics that's out there is seniors. If they're using a smartphone, odds are they have an email because they have to have an email to go ahead and set up an iPhone. And candidly, as a value add, show them how to check their email. It'll take you 5 minutes to do. And then, because this is a referral-based business, oh my God, can you believe that Pat came over and not only did she help me with my Medicare and answer those questions, but she taught me this really cool trick on my email, and this is what happens. They talk, so you might as well. It makes sense. It gives you that value add. Yes?
I would teach my clients how to sign up for the free Zoom, and I got one about paid referrals. Want to see your money.
So what she said is that she taught a client how to go ahead and use the free Zoom, and she ended up getting 8 referrals off of it.
Can I just say,
Sure.
you did not teach your client how to use Zoom. You teached your client how to see their grandchildren face to face whenever they wanted.
Exactly.
We used my mom. We got her an iPhone, and then we taught her a really cool trick because she was like trying to throw things away, and I'm like, Mom, that's really valuable. Don't do that. And so we taught her how to use Google Lens, and then she showed her friends, and then I don't have an iPhone, and so one of my clients was like,
Okay, quick question. So what she's saying is that she taught her mom how to use Google Lens because she was throwing things away. What is
Are we
Google
about
Lens?
to teach you something?
Yeah, I don't know what Google Lens is.
it is amazing. So anyway, so I called my mom, and then I forgot how to do it. So we called my mom, and my mom walked the clients because the client had just lost her mother, and the husband was trying to throw things away. And lo and behold, there was like this $2,000 item that the husband thought was a trash can. No, it was a box.
So what she said, for those that can't hear, and I apologize, guys, but we're repeating it as best we can. So she taught her mom how to use Google Lens, and then she was with a client. She forgot how to use the Google Lens, so she called her mom, and then her mom ended up talking her and the client through it, so that way the husband wasn't throwing away the valuable things that was there, and it ended up making sense. I don't know what Google Lens is. What is it?
Google Lens is basically using your phone. You can scan whatever it is you got in front of you, and Google will tell you exactly what it is. What product, what model, what price, everything.
Who'd have thunk it? Okay, I learned something new today. Yeah, awesome. Good. So templates.
So let's go a little bit further down the rabbit hole. We were just talking about templates. Are any of you guys using templates a little bit further in like a marketing campaign style or format, where it's not just one message that you're utilizing as needed, but it is a whole series of messages, possibly even utilizing several forms of communication that are all layered to keep you top of mind and tip of tongue with your clients? Are any of you guys doing anything like that right now? Some, but not a lot.
We drifted out, like, oh, what do you do about dental and vision? Do you guys want to med supplement? Shit's not looking. And so I hate dental and vision. Sorry, right? Like, it's a benefit. It's benefit. And I'm not even it's not going to cover all of it, right? And so we made dental into a template, and it prints out a day after the sale on, hey, what do you do about dental and vision?
So what she's saying is she's established a drip marketing campaign. So after she sold somebody, then she goes back in and talks about dental and vision, and it shoots an email the day after the sale is done to say, hey, what do you do about what do you got going on regarding the dental and vision? And that's how she's doing it, right?
And then I have referral links that they can even purchase it on their own, and then I can
And then there's links embedded into it so that they can purchase it on their own. Because all of you have those links. You have personal URLs that you can embed in your emails and in your Facebook posts saying, hey, do you need this or the benefits of this? And then have them sign up right there. It's passive. And those are options that you have.
As far as like the automation is concerned, having that set up where there's, messages going out periodically, ringless voicemails going out periodically, text messaging going out periodically, again, only from the people that have opted in. I don't want to send you down a wrong rabbit hole here and have you using it for prospecting purposes. You're going to, I don't know, I've got a mixed feeling on that. I feel like everyone's speeding, but very few people are getting pulled over, but if you get pulled over, it's really going to suck. But if you're layering your marketing campaigns and you're hitting them utilizing ringless voicemails, text messaging, email, phone calls, et cetera, eventually you are going to meet them where they are, right? But just as important, you are continuing to put your message forth long after they inquired. And the reason that is important is because most of us are squirrels by nature. We're doing things in the moment. We're doing things because, we're feeling the pressure or the stress or the concern from something in that exact second, and then we just move on. I can't tell you how many agents have come through some of our funnels over the years where I'm like, oh yes, I've seen so-and-so talking about that in Soup for the last 2 weeks. Looks like they're ready to buy. And you'll reach out and it's just not on their mind anymore. And it's no longer part of what they're looking to accomplish. But by having the automation in place and staying top of mind, staying tip of tongue, staying relevant, staying in the mind of the consumer, when they are actually ready to tackle it again, will put you in pole position to have that conversation. So my recommendation around that is not only do you need it, but you want to do it in a manner that is going to be attractive, right? Most of us don't wake up on any given morning, even as professionals in this industry, and just pumped to talk about policies and coverage and all that kind of stuff. Your insureds want to do it even less. Mm-hmm. So by continuing to reach out to them, you get them when they're in the mood to talk. But more important than that, the correspondence that you're putting out there to them can't all be product. This industry is and has always been a relationship business, right? Do you guys really want leads, or do you want conversations and relationships? Mm-hmm. You want conversations and relationships. You don't want a stack of 10,000 names. You want whoever's going to respond out of that list. So when you are putting your automations together, when you're putting your marketing campaigns together, at the end of the day, you need to be thinking about what your consumer wants.
I'm not home.
What your insured wants. Not what you want. We know what you want. You want sales. How are you going to get it? By talking to them and giving them what they want out of that relationship. So if within the senior community, if that means the occasional, you know what, last night I made this amazing pot roast and I figured you might want the recipe. Just to keep the line of communication open. You don't need to be pounding away with, Medicare this, dental that, and just droning on and on in these poor people's, inboxes about insurance.
So, couple of things. On that to-do list that you guys have, that I have you running your double things. So he's got a saying that he keeps saying, and I need it drilled down to you. Meet them where they are. Meet them where they are.
Imagine for a second, I'm sorry. Imagine for a second if you had told one of your clients to meet you on Zoom, referencing what we were talking about a few minutes ago, and they just learned about what Zoom was at the very beginning of the pandemic and never got it set up. You think they're showing up for the appointment? They're not.
So here's a couple of things. Meeting them where they are, one of the biggest things that we've got going on as a problem with seniors is what? They're lonely, right? And you've got women that outlive their husbands. So now you've got lonely old women that are looking for somebody to talk to. I don't know about you, but most of the women that I know that are in that age bracket, they like to cook, they like to craft. How many of you have walked into your grandmother or your mother's house and they have 5,001 damn cookbooks, right? They got a collection of them. And in my family, it's a, when I die, you can have them all. Oh God, no, please, I don't want them. She's got every Betty Crocker book that you can think of. But here's the thing. My mom, as a gift to my grandmother, went ahead and she had, because she tries all of those recipes in there. And then for years, she went ahead and she would say, you know, one day I'm going to write a cookbook. One day I'm going to write a cookbook. And this was before you had the Amazon self-publishing stuff. One day I'm going to write a cookbook and it's going to be published. Well, my mother is a printer. So she had the ability and she surprised my grandmother with creating her own cookbook and doing that. I have that and it's an heirloom that is just there. But one of the things and the things that are in this cookbook are from those recipes. Healthy eating. Most of the people that we service, their health is deteriorating. They don't know how to eat right. Most of them are diabetic. Most of them have issues. So send healthy recipes. Here's one for you, and we'll go into marketing all day tomorrow, but I'm going to drop a couple more nuggets and then I'll shut up. Here's one for you, because seniors are isolated. They're adults, so their own kids and everybody that have their own lives, they're the forgotten ones. I had one of my one of my work moms. She goes ahead and she says to me, Amanda, what am I going to do when my mom dies? And I said, okay. And she says, yeah, I've got kids and everything else, but my mom is the only one that I talk to every day. What happens when that happens? She says, they've all got kids, they've all got their own lives, and most of my friends are dead. And because they don't have the opportunity to meet and make new friends, that's a problem. Which goes into why I promote that you go out in the community, which Anne's going to talk about and Tabitha's going to talk about tomorrow. You go out into the community and instead of doing one-on-ones, you do social stuff. Put it together so that you become the connector. And what I mean by that is you're allowing to provide an event space that allows them to meet other people and make new friends. I got a woman who, during COVID, she lost her live-in significant other. And her kids are states away. And she's stuck in a house by herself with no one around. So she got on Facebook and she found the 2 Facebook groups that we have. 10,000 people apiece. She's now all of our moms. Her name's Carol and she's obnoxious and it's great. But you want to know what? She ended up creating an offshoot of a Facebook group that meets, and now she's got a group that goes to the movies once a month with her to do that. Why am I telling you this? Because what you can do is take these automations and take the newsletters and the things that you do, put recipes in them. Promote the events and the social stuff that you guys do. You are your own event promoter. And what you do is say, bring a friend. And if you don't have a friend, it's okay to be by yourself and come alone, because I'll have it where you make friends there. Promote your own events. It doesn't just have to be product, as Mike's saying. And guess what? What do old people talk about? Their grandkids and their medical issues, right? 2 things that every old person talks about: my hip, my knees, my ass, whatever it is. The latest ailment that they have. So if these are the things that they're talking about, get them engaged. It gives them something else and say, hey, bring a friend. And guess what? Odds are you don't know that friend. So now what happens? You're able to establish that rapport. And because you're able to establish that rapport, well, and if you've helped her, then you're going to, well, you should talk to her because she'll help you too. You see how that all rolls? That's how you do it. What's your thoughts?
A little bit different. Since we don't see people face to face, I came up with an idea by accident, which was anytime we send out a link for them to do something, even if it's just to verify that they got their ID cards, I want to have a landing page with that has a video talking especially directly to them about their specific situation. And since I can't be there to onboard and thank and talk to hundreds of people every month, the video can do it for me 24 hours a day whenever they decide to click on the email that says, thank you for trusting us to be your agency. So every time I found myself repeating the same things over and over again, for instance, talking about the dental vision hearing, we send a physical packet to every new client, and in there it has an insert. But we also follow up by email, and we make different websites for every different little thing, like AmericanDentalCoverage.com, where we talk about the Manhattan Life Dental Plan. We have another website that talks about the Emeritus Plan if we're in a state that has that one available to them. But every little thing, like explaining Plan N, for instance, it can be nuanced, and if you can't draw it on a piece of paper, sometimes people can't get it. So we made a website for that, plannmedicare.org. And sometimes the people in the office, like I said before, need to borrow the credibility of the person that brought them in. So since I can't be there on every phone call, I made the tools for them to use so that I'm there on every presentation. So if they want to know more about excess charges, have a website for that. So they can send them a link, give them a little bit of homework while they're in the middle of a sales presentation, and everybody gets the same consistent and they feel like personalized message to explain whatever concept that we're trying to communicate to them, so that our people, they don't have to be as highly skilled or as personable or whatever. They can say, oh, that's a great concern. A lot of people had that same concern. Chris made a video that explains that to you, and you can stop it and go back and play it again, and stop it and go back and play it again. And you can pick this up at your own pace. So can you do me a favor? Take 10 minutes. I'm going to send you the link right now by text and email. Click that, and it'll explain this concept to you so you can get it. And every time they call back in and say, now I get it. Now I understand. But it's another touch point that ties them back to the original thing that brought them into the agency, because they see me on there explaining the same thing over and over again.
And just to piggyback off of that, how many of you guys in here have bad days where you're just not in the mood to people? So there are days where you're in your office where you're at your absolute best, and if someone gets put in front of you, it is going to be a closed deal most of the time. There's going to be good rapport, good chemistry. You'll probably laugh a bit, the whole nine. But then there are those days where you just can't even deal, right? And when you have got the best version of yourself ready to go in the form of an already typed up template or campaign or video or things along those lines, you can have a bad day and still be the best version of yourself to your clients. Furthermore, how many of you guys have hired someone and been like, once you saw them write an email? Like, they interview great, and then they type out an email that you caught wind of, and like, did they say especially? And it's just like, oh damn, this is a problem. When you've got everything templated, when you've got everything already set up as campaigns, and all your producer has to do is press a button instead of using whatever level of grammar they graduated or didn't graduate school with, you are presenting your agency on a significantly more professional level than leaving it in the hands of someone who just will never be able to. Mm-hmm. So, as you're considering where you may lean in as far as like technology is concerned and whatnot, understand that automating your marketing, your follow-up, your communication, your correspondence, all that kind of stuff puts the best version of you and your agency forward. It allows you to have bad days. It allows you to cover way more ground way quicker. hundreds, thousands of people hearing from you over the course of a day, as opposed to the 30 phone calls that you got in before Doris turned your day sideways. So, I know we've been covering a lot. How many of you guys in here feel like, all right, what you guys are up here saying is great, but I'm that person that when I put an email together, other people are like, I'm not confident with the way I write. I'm not confident with myself when I speak. Video, you can get as many takes as you need before you look and sound exactly the way you want. So many of us are afraid to get on video. You don't need to be afraid. You want to be afraid of going live? You can work your way, work your courage up to going live. And we can talk about that tomorrow when we're doing social media. But video, if it takes 714 and you finally got the gem, that video is going to be going out to all your clients for the next 10, 15, 20, 25 years.
And guys, it's okay to suck. I'm going to say it again. It's okay to suck.
If the very first version of something that you've produced is the best that you can do, you waited way too long. You waited way too long.
You got to try it. I mean, so real stories. Do you think that well, it's me, but, and I talk, I don't shut up, but do you think that the first time that I automatically walked in and immediately started doing rooms of 200, 300, 800 people at a pop without any experience? It doesn't happen. How many of you guys do 101s? I'm gonna make this relatable. So most of you guys do one-on-ones, and because I'm gonna talk with my hands, I'm gonna move around a little bit. Y'all do one-on-ones. I get asked this all the time, or I get the comment on, I lost it. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So, no, it's dead. What? Use this one? Perfect. Okay. So, how many of you have done a 101 and not gotten the amount of people that you wanted to attend that 101? Oh, come on. I call bullshit. Okay. Here's the thing. Is that you got to start somewhere. So whether it is one person at the first time, and then it goes to 5, then it goes to 10, then it goes to 20, eventually it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. When I started teaching carrier stuff, and they said the only people that are going to come are the old people in the donuts, first meeting that I did, okay, so I had 5 people there. Was it worth my time? Yeah, because I got in front of 5 people instead of 1 individual appointment. Then it started growing, and then my name started getting out there. Hey, you got to get out in front of her. She kind of knows a thing or two, and she's got a loud mouth, and she's not boring. You got to go ahead and do that, and then eventually it upticked, and then it continued to uptick. You have to start somewhere. I shared last week, I was nervous as hell to have this go off today. And I am every time that I do one of these. And some of you I've shared that with, and some of you look at it and go, God, she's got the confidence. There's no way in hell that she's nervous about what she does. You're out of your damn mind. I am. And I'm okay with sucking. Keep it clean, guys. I'm okay with not having things go off the way that I want. One of the things that I say to the people that I work with all the time is that there's always going to be something in some way that something can get better. And at the end of the day, I look at it and go, what could have I done better? And then I implement it to the next time that I'm doing it. But those are the things that you want to do. At least try. Because eventually it'll take and it'll go there. And then ask somebody that you see that's doing it well, what's working, and then try to emulate that, but make it your own and your own voice instead of theirs. And that's the best way that I can tell you to do it. So flipping, yeah. I have no wisdom whatsoever. So I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to pass it off to them. My benchmark is that you have a school of agents that will go ahead and work in Medicare, and they will set it and forget it and never touch their client. The only time that they touch their client is if the client calls them, and that's how they are. They're hands off. And then they're the first persons that bitch that they've lost people off of their book. I teach you need to go ahead and touch them a minimum of 4 times. A year, minimum. Now, that actually needs to be more than that. That's my very baseline. As to that, what's your thought? Both of you.
Well, when it's a lead, it needs to be touched significantly more frequently. You know, like when it's a lead, I'm finding more than one way to reach out the first couple of days. And then after day 3, for the first 30 days, every second or third day, I've got something that's hitting them, whether it's a ringless voicemail, whether it's an email, whether it's, whatever they've opted in to receive. Once I've gotten past that 40 day mark, I'm still checking in once a week. I wouldn't be doing it every single day like Home Depot, because the amount of work that it would require to have an automation set up that had 365 days of correspondence would just be exhausting and would probably result in more unsubscribes than subscribes. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, I mean, like we all have like small local businesses where we don't have the power and the clout and the name brand recognition as a Home Depot. And even when Home Depot does it, it's annoying. So, Mr. Smith's, ABC agency emailing me every single day is probably going to get under my skin a little bit more. But clients once a quarter, like Amanda said, bare minimum. But again, those touch points, they don't have to be insurance related. You're going to do your review, but you can find reasons to check in with them, whether it's the springtime is coming and hey, just wanted to reach out to you and say and let you know, spring is sprung. If you're not paying attention, this is when critters are particularly active. If you find any bugs or pests or anything like that in your home, I got a couple of exterminators if you need one. That's a relatively common practice, a relatively common problem in some seniors' homes, right? Their spouse has passed away, the money is getting a little bit tight, they're starting to let things dilapidate a little bit. You can hit them up with a happy birthday message. You can hit them up with holiday messages. You can hit them up with, like we were talking about earlier, a recipe that you made the night before. You've got touch points that allow you to continue the conversation, because you can reach out to them and say, if you need an exterminator, let me know. But they'll also let you know once they have that correspondence from you about anything else that's going on in their mind with regards to what you're offering them.
So look at it from the perspective of I have a mic again, guys. Look at it from
You have a mic.
Look at it from a perspective of, how many of you guys tried to build referral partners? Okay. So if you have a referral partner for an elder law, why don't you ask them to go ahead and write you a short article so that way you can put it in your newsletter? If you have a doctor's office, why don't you go ahead and ask them to go ahead and say something about a reminder about, hey, get in for your annual physical or your mammo or whatever other thing that it is. Get in for your flu shot. You're doing it with dentists and stuff, you've got dentists. Go ahead and say, hey, did you go ahead and schedule your teeth cleaning? Did you get those dentures checked? Those types of things then become where it's mutually beneficial to the people that you're working with, and now you are showing value to that referral partner and assisting your client. And it feeds all the way in. That's what you want to go ahead and take a look at. Go ahead.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You know, by working with local referral partners in that regard, not only are you making that valuable touch point with your client, which is giving them an opportunity to return volley and talk about whatever's on their mind, but you're also giving exposure to that local vendor who you're either trying to earn that referral relationship or you want more referrals out of. And what better way to get referrals out of that referral partner by giving them some fresh opportunity to remind them that you're still there, that you can still help them, and that you're still looking out for them.
So think about it. You can do it with your home and you can do it with your home and auto partners. You can do it with your financial advisors. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can take that and run with it. It's huge. Kelly? Do it. Interview them. Do a short one.
So something that I used to teach is something that I called a vendor spotlight series. And this requires having a YouTube channel or a Facebook group or an actual audience that you're building with intent, which is something that we'll talk about tomorrow a little bit more. But when you have that channel or that group and you've got that audience that's paying attention, go out and interview the local shopkeeper, and go there with 8 questions, 10 questions that you want to ask. Make it a 10, 15-minute little interview. What made you decide to get into this? What was the dream? Who are you trying to help? What are some of the specials that you've got going on that the community may not know about? And get them talking about their business, get them excited about their business on camera, introduce the staff, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you publish that, well, now you've got a new referral partner. But on top of that, you've also, depending on who's working, at these different, organizations, these different businesses that you're going to, you've also probably got a couple of leads there to talk to as well that work there.
Chris, any thoughts?
Yeah, on the follow-up thing, I think that the post-sale sequence is critically important. We do everything by phone, so we have to keep the credibility up with them, and the first way that we want to do that is put something tangible in their hand by mailing the packet to them, and it has an excerpt on the company that they signed up for, the product that they signed up for, material about you could do life insurance, here's what that would cost, here's the dental vision hearing information, but just getting something in their hands tangible. Then we have another email that goes out and says, your effective date is coming up, do you have any questions? If so, here's your agent, you can book an appointment with them. And then another one afterwards says, did you get your ID card? Did everything go in as planned? If not, please reach out to us. But one thing that's, I want to take all the way back to the beginning really quick on Calendly. We came up with this interesting system, somebody in my office much smarter than I am. And that is that when they go to our main page to book an appointment, let's say they came from, I don't know if it was a direct mail, if I did that, or from YouTube or whatever, they come to our page and then it goes into a branch, a funnel, if you were, that's on the page. Are you new to Medicare? If so, click this link. Are you already on a Medicare supplement? Click this. Are you on a Medicare Advantage plan? Click this. And each one of those pages goes to another page that has the booking link from Calendly, which is very unique because it goes to a team of people that are licensed first in their state and specialize in what they're needing, whether it's a renewal person, a service member, or a new to Medicare person. But also it has a video there explaining, great, you said you're new to Medicare. Here are your options. And it goes through all of that. And so I think that if we make it so personalized, but they get to choose their own adventure, then that's kind of a neat thing. And then we're talking about grammar in emails and stuff. And we use Grammarly. We use the free version, but I use the paid version. And it really helps a lot to get my grammar straight. But I want to share with you one thing really, really quick on technology. We were having a problem in my office, what you do when you have people, right? And the problem was every Monday, somebody, a significant portion, would want to call in sick. They just want a long weekend, right? So if anybody's been hearing about the OpenAI, the Chat GPT thing, I was really frustrated, and I don't have the best delivery when it comes to negative things. Again, I let our office manager handle those things. But I wanted to take this artificial intelligence thing for a spin, and I told it, this is our problem, and I need to communicate with our staff that it's better to plan a vacation day ahead of time rather than just call in sick and screw over everybody in the office. So that was my language, but I didn't want to put that out there because that would not be received very well. So this is what the Chat GPT wrote for me, and this is free. Dear colleagues, I wanted to take a moment to remind everyone about the importance of scheduling paid time off for rest and relaxation rather than calling in sick when you're not feeling well or simply need a day off. We all understand that sometimes unexpected illnesses and emergencies arise. Using PTO for planned time off can actually have several benefits for both you and your coworkers. First and foremost, taking PTO allows you to fully recharge and return to work feeling fully refreshed and ready to tackle new challenges. This can ultimately lead to increased productivity and job satisfaction for you. Additionally, using PTO for planned time off can help your colleagues by allowing them to better plan and prepare for their workload in your absence. When someone calls in sick unexpectedly, it can often be disruptive and put additional pressure on the rest of the team to cover that workload. By scheduling PTO in advance, your colleagues can plan and adjust their own schedules accordingly. In short, scheduling PTO not only benefits you by allowing you to take off a well-deserved time, but also helps your coworkers by allowing for better planning and preparation. Please remember to use your PTO for planned time off rather than calling in sick whenever possible. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So this can help you write some complicated stuff, internal memos, sales messages. We're talking about ideas with local shops. If you type in there, I need 8 questions to ask a local shop owner for a video about their business, it'll give you some great ideas. It's really cool. It's OpenAI, and if you Google search for Chat GPT, like Golf Papa Tango, Chat GPT, it is free. It is really awesome.
And just going a little bit further down the AI rabbit hole, you can utilize this tool in so many different ways, independent of what Chris was just suggesting. So, like if you are having a hard time understanding a contract, you can copy it, paste it into ChatGPT, and say, "Explain this to me like I am 5," and it will literally say, like, imagine you had 2 stuffed bunnies. Someone came and took one of your bunnies without permission, and now you're really sad. Like, it will talk to you like that. And, you know, someone mentioned a little bit earlier the idea of, like, you know, my clients aren't the most sophisticated. They're not particularly savvy. I think illiterate was a word that was used, which this wouldn't help with, but being able to take complex thoughts and dumb it down, or taking what you feel is a dumb thought and sprucing it up, are 2 very powerful tools amongst dozens and dozens of others that this technology is capable of. But literally, whenever you are struggling to find the words, or you feel like you are not enough or you are too much, ChatGPT can help you bring it in or push it out. Last night, my business partner and I are in the middle of a negotiation right now for a company that we're trying to get equity in, and we were going back and forth on our offer literally last night on the phone, and we were sitting there on ChatGPT going, "Tell it to make it 15% more intelligent," and it would like spruce it up a little bit, and it was like, okay. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys know my business partner Taylor. Taylor is deep south. Taylor is a southern boy through and through, and he's very, very proud of it. And when ChatGPT put together what we were looking to send over last night, he goes, "All right, we're gonna have to say that came from you because that's way too smart for me." And I was like, "We should dumb it down." And he goes, "How do we dumb?" I go, "I don't know, just tell it to dumb it down 20%." And that is dumber. So you do have the ability, utilizing this technology that's available to you now, to come off sharper than you may think you are, to dull yourself down. You can have it write for you in the voice of historical figures or famous people. So, you know, there's a lot that's available to you now if you feel like you don't have the chops to do it yourself.
And we had 4 weeks with nobody calling in sick after that memo. 4 weeks.
Woohoo!
That's a miracle in my office.
Pat.
When you guys were talking about new ideas and things, and I shared this with Amanda, I guess I'm fortunate that my youngest son, going to be 21 next month, he's graduating in May with his marketing degree. No, he does not want to go into insurance. He'd rather work with the zoo. But he said
And actually, that's a great segue into the next thing that we're gonna shift gears a little bit. So what Pat said is that her youngest son needed to go ahead and to complete his college degree. He needed to do an internship for his marketing class, and she ended up going ahead and having him work with her. And she's actually learned quite a bit, and he's done a lot of the PowerPoints and different setups, different tools and IT things that she's needed, and it doesn't cost her anything. Don't be afraid to look at your local schools, your local colleges, to ask about internships to get some help, which is going to walk us right into staffing. So, a lot of you are sitting here going, I'm a one-man shop. I need to go ahead and pick up my next person. I'm scared to death because I don't know what the hell to pay them. Can they be licensed? Do they not need to be licensed? What happens? How does this work? And how can I afford somebody like that? We're all going to have different opinions on that, which is why I wanted their panel to be here, just so that way you guys could hear different schools of this. My school of thought is this. When you can afford to get an assistant, get one. And the assistant, what you're going to do is you're going to write down all the things that you hate to do. All the things that you are bad at. Write down all the things that you hate to do. All the things that you are bad at. And that's your first step to identify where your hole is. And then you're going to look for somebody that can go ahead and take all the yucky things that you don't want to do off your plate. Because if you aren't doing things that you like to do, you aren't productive. I am a big picture thinker. I don't like getting lost in the minutia. It is not my thing. Mine is coming up with weird, crazy ideas like this and then going to Cindy and Trudy and to Lori and going, I have this vision. Make it come to be. And then we have balloon centerpieces complete with margaritas with my logo that I never even thought possible. She fills in the details, right? So when you're looking for your admin, they don't have to be in your home. Some of you are freaked out by having an employee in your home. They don't have to be. Go buy a laptop. Go buy a cell phone. Hire somebody initially if you're afraid about what you can afford. Hire some stay-at-home mom that needs to keep her skills relevant and needs the flexibility because of her kids, that you teach how to look up drugs and to set appointments and to do some of the easy cheesecake things that you don't need to be doing. When you pay her, depending on where you live, pay her anywhere between $15 to $20 an hour. Start her part-time if you're afraid of what your budget looks like. When you start hiring somebody, look at people that do service work. Look at people that work in restaurants, people that work in car rental agencies. Look at people that are fresh out of college looking for a start, that are looking for that resume builder. Do the math, guys, real quick. $15 an hour times 20 hours a week. It's not half bad. It's not even a single MA sale. So for 20 hours a week of stuff that comes off your plate, can you go ahead and can you make that one sale in 20 hours? If you can't, you need to get out of the damn business, right? Odds are you can probably do 3, 4, 5, 10 of them in that same 20 hours. Invest in yourself like that. Now here's the thing. Anybody that you hire, does anybody like working a dead-end job? Have you ever had a dead-end job? It's probably why you went to go ahead and get into this business, right? You want to have a career track. The people working with you want to have that career track too. So you show them, you know what? Hey, Sally, you need to stay home because George and Bobby are 2 and 4 and you need to do this until they get into school, okay. Tell you what, come in part-time. You'll get flex time. You can work out of your house. These are the projects that I need you to do. Help me with this, and it's fine. And then eventually, if you like it, we'll go ahead and we'll get you licensed. And then eventually, we'll go ahead and we'll get you so that way you're full-time. And then eventually, we'll go ahead and we'll put more job duties on you. So now that part-time job ends up actually being a real job. That actually ends up being somebody that now you've personally taught how you want this to go, and they've grown up with you, which then creates the loyalty. For those of you that are afraid to hire staff, that's how I do it. I start with that base I start with that base position to learn the industry, learn me, learn about what's going on, and then I graduate them up the more that I find where their strengths are. And then I build jobs with my staff as to what their strengths are. Because again, with productivity, the most productivity that you're going to get out of somebody is when they're doing what they love and what they're good at. So that's my 2 cents on staffing.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said. I am probably a little bit slower to hire than most, mainly because when given the opportunity to hire, I take a pause and really look into what the business truly needs at that point. Because a lot of times, what we think we need is not what we really need. So we think to ourselves like, oh, I want more sales. I should hire another salesperson.
No.
That salesperson is not, 1 + 1 is not going to equal 2. It will never equal 2, at least not in the very, very beginning. And it will only equal 2 or 2 plus something if that hire turns out to be just as good, if not better, than your original salesperson, right? So when we bring on someone, right out the gates, we're taking our leads and we're diluting them, we're cutting them in half. We've had this closer on our team for the last 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. She's been building her reputation, she's been building her book, she's been kicking ass, she's been taking names, she's been doing everything that she's supposed to do, and now my business is in the position to expand. Is it really smart of me to go out and hire Chris right now as a salesperson, not knowing Chris from a hole in the wall? Is Chris a good salesperson? Does he have a good work ethic? Can he type out an email? It doesn't have 18, misspellings and bad grammar, the whole nine. What's going to happen here is I'm going to go out and I'm going to hire a great unknown who is going to dilute everything that I am bringing in as far as opportunity for the agency. Going to water it down until he's got his chops, until he's got his feet under him, et cetera, et cetera. He's an unknown. She's a proven. I'm not hiring Chris to come on as a salesperson. I'm hiring Chris to smile and dial. I'm hiring Chris to see, does this dude have the work ethic that Amanda does? While he is getting his experience, cutting his teeth, proving his worth, and continuing to feed the one person in my office that gets shit done. So a lot of times when you are faced with that thought of what should I do next, it's not always I need to bring on another of what I already have. A lot of times it's how can I enhance the current talent that I have. So when you're considering your staffing, whether it's sales, whether it's service, whatever it is you're looking to bring on, truly analyze the situation and ask yourself, is what I'm about to do truly going to get me to where I want to go the best, the most efficient, the most cost effective? I mean, think about that too. I bring Chris on as a salesperson, and how much do I have to pay him versus a cold caller? What type of talent do I have to go out and hire for the cold caller position? I can go out and I can get myself a $12, $15, $20 an hour employee as opposed to a $30 or $40 an hour employee. Have Chris prove his worth, and now have someone on the payroll for less that's working their way up as opposed to starting high, There's just so many reasons to be looking at it strategically and not just going, I need more sales, another salesperson. You got to make sure that you're putting the steps in place so that everyone that you're bringing on has the best chance to succeed, right? In the meantime, you've given Amanda an incredible opportunity to keep going.
Yeah.
And what happens in a sales organization, in a small business, when you say to your team, like, hey guys, I'm thinking about hiring another salesperson?
No, they're going to go ahead and it's going to take money out of my pocket. First thing that they're doing.
Not as many leads. They're gonna blow my relationships that I've been building for the last however many years. They're not gonna fit into the culture here. There's a million and one reasons why they don't want them here. But by starting them off in a different type of capacity, your employees are no longer threatened and your payroll is no longer bleeding.
And so, quick thing. So, and what somebody interviews and says, yeah, I'm great at doing, they may actually suck. So to put them into a position and test them out without going ahead and putting your eggs all in that basket allows you to go ahead and see, okay, do they have what it takes to do that? I mean, I can tell you that most of the people that I hire are completely outside of the business. I know Chris is the same way. I want to teach them my method. And the reason that is yes, I need some experience to it, but I'm looking for raw skill. Do you have the tools in your head for me to be able, and can I identify those? And is your personality what I need versus going ahead and having it, do you have the business acumen? I can teach the business side of this all day long and twice on Sunday. What I can't teach, can you have the initiative to go and say, hi, how are you? It's great to see you, to everybody in a room full of strangers and not wig out? Can you go ahead and identify, if I give you a spreadsheet and there's some things that are kicking out that don't look right, are you going to gloss over those and see them and ignore them? Or are you going to identify them and go, I found a problem, what's next? Identifying the personality and the strengths within that and those raw skills is how I hire. Because then I can go ahead and I can mold you. And I can get you to where I need you to be. And candidly, there's been a ton of times where I've gone ahead and put people into a position, or someone else has hired into a position because I've been stuck that I wasn't the hiring manager, where it's been okay, well, that person doesn't gel quite well with the I teach it like gears. You have to have a synergy within all of it, and as soon as you can get the gears firing at all cylinders, the power that is within that is insane. So in my group, and just to show you as an example, you have me. I am the front of the house. I am the salesperson or the closer. I have Trudy, who goes ahead and does my office admin at my office. She's also my right hand. So if I'm not available, she's the one that can go ahead and run into my office and say, you know what? So-and-so needs to talk to you now. I have Cindy, who she goes ahead and she does my events. I have Heather that does my back office, and Heather does not want to talk to anyone. That is not her bag of tricks. Said day one, I don't want to interface with brokers at all. I want to sit there, I want to work on your back office, I want to upload your commissions, I want to maintain your agency block, I want to sit at home, work at home, and this is what I want to do. Don't you dare put me in front of a room. I'll do it if I have to, but I don't want to do it on the day-to-day. And you want to know what? She is unbelievable at what she does. She does something I cannot do, nor do I have the patience to do. So for that, I needed somebody that is my weakness. Identify those and then fill in accordingly is how I do it.
The people who are just working as just yourself, please hear me. When I hired my first person, it changed my entire life and put me on the path to not having to work anymore. Hiring that first person is the hardest thing. It's like having a child, though. If you wait till you can afford it, you'll never do it, because you'll constantly think, I can't put that money out there. But if you can have just a little bit of faith, like a mustard seed, that thing could turn into an oak tree one day, I'm telling you, that's what you have to do to get out of the front row all the time on prospecting, processing people, servicing your clients. And so in our office, we try to hire slow and fire fast. That's the best method. However, doesn't always work out that way. We find our best people come from food and beverage. People who are growing up in the industry of life by serving other people, listening to them, remembering their name, being able to have a conversation with them, building rapport. If I go somewhere and I want to tip them $100, that's a person that I want to hire. So that's what we've always done. We've always hired from food and bev. And then they know people that are like-minded like them. I also bring in as many of our staff people as we can for every interview. And they ask their own questions. Then, when we like that person, we'll schedule a lunch with them. I want to take them to a really nice restaurant and see how they treat the staff. Sometimes Chico, our head bartender at our favorite place we go, Bonefish in Charleston, Chico will screw up their order. He'll give them the wrong side dish. We've had people who were nasty about it to Chico. We've had people who don't bring it up at all. And we've had people who've had that crucial conversation, and I say that word on purpose, and in a very nice, polite way, get a resolution to that. That's our top performer later. If you've never heard of the book called Crucial Conversations, I was recommended that book by Patrick Beck-David in a post he did. It is amazing for hiring people in your office and then working through the issues that they're inevitably going to have, not just people in the office and workplace conversations, but also you'll find in your family life. How do you have the tough conversation rather than letting things go for weeks and months and building up anxiety, anger, not knowing what to do to get rid of a bad person? Having that crucial conversation is key, because that's going to keep those people around later. They're going to appreciate it, but you have to put them in a safe place before you have that conversation. It's not easy having more people, but I'll tell you, after we had the third one, it became really easy, because one of those was identified as a leader and then could go ahead and train the other people in the office. We get everybody licensed within their first 2 weeks. They do the online course where it's like a 99% pass rate. We give them some breathing room, but we want to expose them to the culture of the office to make sure that they're going to be a good fit early on. And that's why we get the buy-in from as many people as we can on the staff to see if they gel with that person. And I'll tell you, the way it's just worked out is we have one guy in our office, and we have 19 women. And it just works out. We do everything over the phone, and they're able to disarm people very effectively on the phone. They don't feel threatened or challenged or scared away in any way. And they all get along with each other. We have a blast in the office, and they schedule the parties and all the things that they want to do, the events and stuff. But anyway, hire slow, fire fast is my best advice.
Okay, so we've got 5 minutes before I'm going to close. So I'm going to take 2 questions. We're going to answer them quickly, and I see both of them. And then after that, we'll end and we'll go from there. So Rhoda?
It's a comment. When I'm single and I go out with a guy, I see how they treat the servers, and that was crucial to whether I got to go out a second time with them or not. It tells the world about the
So Rhoda's saying that when she was dating, it was crucial to see how the person that she was dating would treat the server, and it tells a whole lot about you as a person, and it really does. So definitely, it's a very good point. Yes.
Going back to the last section, applications, you mentioned calendar. But each one of you give us 3 applications that you use in your business, and they're doing these things you're talking about, layering.
Sure. So the question is can each of us on the panel go ahead and tell you the 3 applications that we use in our business and how? So the first one that I use is Calendly. I use that to set my appointments for my reminders and all of that. I use I use a lot of them, so I'm going to go more than that. I use Zoom Phone for my phone recording and my, the Zoom package. So I use it for my webinars. I use it for my phone. I use it for my WebEx or my webinars that I do. There's lots of different other technology that it does, but I use it for those three, and it's pretty user-friendly. I've been using it for almost 2 years now. I use Agency Block to run my business. I use Eventbrite, as you all have found out, so please connect or follow me on there to announce any classes or events that I'm doing so that there's visibility to them. Those would be the top ones that I have. I have more, but those are my big ones. Mike?
The main three that I guess I would say that I utilize a vendor called ChatFuel. ChatFuel allows me to have, we didn't cover this during this conversation, but it allows me to have what's called a chat bot. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically an automated attendant that can babysit your Facebook business page, babysit your website, and hold conversations with people that stop by and visit and all that kind of stuff. I utilize that to monitor my digital assets. I use it's one of our tools, and I wasn't really going to talk about it, but Agency Elephant does everything that we talked about today. Dialer, ringless voicemail, all that kind of stuff.
Agency Elephant.
Agency Elephant. And then lately, more because I'm geeking out with it than anything, but I'm really having a lot of fun with ChatGPT and finding a lot of uses for it within the business. I also believe that, and this is just one man's belief, I'm not right or wrong, to be determined, but I do believe that being on the forefront of this artificial intelligence wave that we've got coming our way right now will be crucial in the upcoming years. So I'm trying to be that guy.
Awesome. Chris?
I use the same kind of systems there, except that I don't like our CRM, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it was just purchased by Agency Block, so hopefully it's going to get better. And our CRM does not integrate everything that Mike's talking about, so we need to change that.
There are probably better platforms than Agency Elephant for the health space. I know a lot of people, and I don't know, I've never used it, but I know a lot of people seem to like go high level in your space.
One thing that we use that's kind of unique is free off the shelf, and that's Google Sheets. We use it for a lot of different things, but namely, we can share an internal library in our office of different categories of different cheat sheets and all that kind of stuff, and it's all found by going to our main library page that everybody can go to, and we can update it in real time. But on Google Sheets, we have our voicemail come from our phone vendor. It comes into one central email. Then we use Zapier, Z-A-P-I-E-R. Zapier it has a Zap that watches the email constantly, and on certain keywords like voicemail, it will route that into a Google Sheet automatically. So everybody in the office has Google Sheets up all the time, and we'll see new voicemails populate, and it's transcribing what they're calling about, who they are, where they're calling from. And we have that go into two different places. They'll push one when they call in. I know it's not the best thing in the world. You should have a person answering every time, but sometimes it's not practical. So they push one, they're brand new to Medicare. They're just going to go to a recording that explains to them the process, and then when they leave a voicemail, it goes to a different sheet that only our new to Medicare people get that sheet's highest priority. But if they're a customer that has a question, that's going to go to the service team's Google Sheet. But anyway, yeah, we just use the other stuff. We use voice broadcasting. We use MailChimp. Those are things that can be integrated within one CRM to make it a lot better. I'm certain of that. But that's basically it, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we are at 12 o'clock. Did you find any of this informative? Are you glad you came? Okay, so if you're hungry, you want to stay, by all means, see the hostess as we flip the room and everything, and probably within 15, 20 minutes, we'll be able to go, you guys can be able to order food. If you feel like drinking and listening to some music, we will be at Lulu's at 4 o'clock. If you want to pre-game earlier, by all means do. It's not too far from here. It's about 10 minutes. If not, 8 o'clock here again, we will start again, same drill, breakfast and the whole 9 yards. If you have questions, write them down. I mean, we spun your head pretty good today, so write down your questions so that way as you have breaks and things, we can go ahead and address some of them and move forward. So thank you, have a great afternoon, and I hope to see you a little bit later, and I'll see you in the morning.